Ba, 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 ba. Live, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, guys? Oh man, whoop whoop. There it is. Oh my gosh, this has been crazy. It's just been so wild. Today is a very information dense day. Very information dense. Jeez. I couldn't go over the stuff last night. I was so tired. I wake up this morning and I'm trying to go through everything Candace was putting down, everything that Baron was putting down. And I was just like, holy, there's a lot of this. There's a lot to these two episodes. This is a very dense information. Even for the summarizer, even for the breakdown person, very, very difficult. I mean, there's a whole lot. When it comes to Baron's part, because we're going to be covering that, sat down with Drey. That was really cool. Really cool because I think they just did a members not too long ago. And now they sat down and did this. But it's because that episode she did that some of you were saying, hey, you need to cover this episode. I wanted to yesterday, but I listened to it twice and I'm like, what? And I'm so glad that Baron felt the same way. He was like, I need you to, he's like, we're going to go through this step by step. I was like, yay, perfect. That's how it should be. So we're definitely going to go through that. The timestamps I have of what Baron was talking about, I'll have to go through those one by one. Okay. I'm just going to have to just go through those one by one. There's a whole bunch there. But Candace's episode was also very information dense. I mean, somebody said, yeah, I had to listen to it twice. Yeah, me too. I was like, I thought it was just me. No, I was like, I'm like, what's the point? At one point when I listened to Drey's episode, I was like, I think I know the point of this video, but hold on, wait, what's the point of this video? And I listened to it again. And I'm like, okay, I understand what she's saying. And the Charlie Kirk tip line thing is a big thing for those of us that are invested in what happened to Charlie Kirk. I was like, okay, so they're hiding a bunch of things. And then Baron brings it up. I think they talk about it, how it may have been hidden to avoid FOIA requests. And I was like, that makes sense. And that makes sense why we haven't seen much of this video. Him in the stairwell, him on the roof, him running, another angle perhaps. There's cameras all over the place. I mean, even from him going up the stairwell and jumping that little fence that they had to get to the roof, there's a whole, I guess you'll say, walkway towards another building, right? And right above where you would go in, there's a camera that points down the walkway. So there's just like a whole bunch of stuff that we've just never seen before. And maybe that's the reason why. I don't know. Yeah. So let's get into it. And then after that, we will discuss the public flogging that Gary got from various people. A bunch of people just went max on him for no reason. And then I'm going to touch a little bit on Officer Tatum episode. Friend of the show. I miss the guy. I don't want to just talk about him when he talks about Tucker. There's a whole bunch of things. Oh, there's a whole bunch of things. Come on with Officer Tatum. I want to check some of it out, So we're going to jump into a little Officer Tatum afterwards. He sat down with Tim Burchak. You know how crazy that is? The congressman that talks about UFO disclosure. I mean, it's just very interesting. All right. Well, I'm looking at his page right now, and I'm just like, okay, we'll touch on some stuff. It's been a while since I went to his YouTube page, It's been a long, long time since I went directly to his page and checked out some videos. I used to do it every morning, before I realized I got hoodwinked. I used to do it every single morning. I'd be like, let's check out what Officer Tatum's talking about, Tatum's a clown. I know. But we enjoy a clown. What do you mean? Comic relief. It's all about the lens that you look at him through. Don't look at him through a serious lens, How you going to let Officer Tatum touch the Kevin Hart roast before you? Me, I already talked about the Kevin Hart roast. But not here, because you can't I don't know what connections he has. You can't show any of the Kevin Hart roast. And basically all I'm going to say is comedians get to say whatever they want at a roast. That's how roasts work. There's not much to say about the Kevin Hart roast, quite honestly. Cat Williams did go on stage. He did mouth the words, "I hate you," or "it ain't over," or something like that. He mouthed some words to Kevin. I don't know. He put on a dress. Shane Smith said some things. Someone got called out for being on the island at a dinner. Chelsea Handler. I don't know. There's not much to it. It's a roast. It's supposed to be vile. That's a roast. It's supposed to be the most vile thing you could watch. That's it. They make Charlie Kirk jokes. They make George Floyd jokes. It's just the way it goes, Can never be mad at a roast joke. You just can't. Anyway, let's just jump right in. You're not late. Don't worry. We're just getting in right now. Minty fresh. I didn't even have time to shower today, guys. I didn't even have time to shower. I was about to, and I was like, nah, I can't be that late. I'm already starting at 10:05. I was like, I gotta get in there. So all I had time was for the teeth, for the face lotion. I didn't even have time for the hand lotion. I'm sorry to come at you, stinky coach. No, I'm not. Well, maybe. No, but I've been detoxing. I've been taking a lot of glutathione, a lot of NAC. I'm detoxing, so I'm good. I've been taking it for a while. And ladies and gentlemen, we are 16 pounds down from our original weight. We are going for it. Anyway, hands are nice. We're lotioned. We get into the creases. No ashy. Okay, no ashy. I know ashy, papi. Let's get into Candace Owens episode here. Anyway, let's jump right in. What do we got here? So we're going to start. Actually, you know what? I can just talk about this really quick. When she talks about the whole the press tour that BB does, I found that interesting. She names the podcast that he went on to. I also thought of that moment when he was doing those podcasts, because I'm really in tune with like press runs. When I see people do a press run, I'm like I zone in because I want to know what they're doing, especially when they're not selling a book or a product. That's when I'm like, what are they doing? Why is this happening? Because there's always a reason why a meeting of the minds is happening. There's always a reason why you see someone go from one podcast to next. There's always a reason that's happening. And they usually will disclose it as they're talking. Eventually they will say, maybe unintentionally, eventually they will get into the agenda that they're trying to serve up. The only person I haven't seen that with is Baron. Baron's been jumping on a bunch of podcasts, but there's no agenda. There's no thing that he's saying in each one of the podcasts. There's no thing, but that's the humble host, the pure-hearted grandfather. But when I saw him doing that whole thing, I didn't also think of it as a press run. When I saw BB doing this, I saw this as a bending of the knee, because I didn't zone in on that unknown person that Candace was talking about when she researched. I honed in on Officer Tatum, the Nelk boys, and Patrick Bet-David. When I saw those three, I was like, oh, this is what's happening. With Officer Tatum, it was like, oh, this is why he has a Substack, and all of a sudden it's like all about Philadelphia and the defense of Philadelphia. I was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense. It's almost like they wanted someone to replace who they thought they might lose before he was gone. Now, when I say might lose, obviously I'm talking about Charlie, but I'm not exactly talking about him passing away. Maybe they also knew that he was on the move out, away from the cause, right? The pro-Philadelphia cause. So it was almost like they wanted somebody to replace him, and Officer Tatum was really like taking that role. I mean, notoriously in that podcast, he was like, we only got spit on like one time. Hey, oh my God. Hey, mama. Mama, I went over to Philadelphia, mama. And oh my God, it was the best time. Oh, baby, you had a good time? I had a great time, mama. We only got spat on one time. I'm sitting with BB now. We talking about it. We only got spat on but one time. And someone came over and said, don't worry about getting spat on. We don't all feel that way. And I felt real good, mama. Oh, baby, that sounds like the 1950s in the South. That sounds terrible, baby. What you mean, mama? Well, you're getting spat on by people because they look down on you. Not everybody got to spit on you for people to be looking down on you, baby. Oh, mama, what you talking about? This ain't like that. That was chosen spit that went and hit us. Baby, I'm just saying, that sound a lot like what was going on with Jim Crow and all them things there. You know, I had to go to a school with white kids and I got spat on too. Mama, this ain't the same thing. That's chosen spit. It's different. Oh, baby, you's a moron. Oh, Lord. When did I raise a moron? Oh, Lord Jesus. Oh, Lord Jesus, just help my baby's brain. My baby's inefficient brain that can't ration out nothing. Oh, God. And BB's just sitting there. BB's just sitting there like, who is mama? Who is mama? What's happening? What happened? Huh? Who is he? No, I didn't. Who is he talking to? Who is he talking to? Oh, man. I'm just kidding. But he did say, I got way off track there. I went too deep into it. I went way too deep. I became mama for a second. I became Officer Tatum for a second. Sorry about that. I'm back. Coach is here. He did say that happened in the interview. It did seem like a bending of the knee. When the Nelk boys did it, it was the same thing. They caught a lot of flack. Flack that they didn't really, it almost seemed like they didn't realize they were going to catch so much flack. But people were able to point out how much of a softball interview they were doing. Although they're not really the brightest guys, they're not really the hardcore, let's ask hard question guys at all. Plus, they're friends with Dana White, I think even to the point of business. And Dana is good friends with the president, and the president is getting worked like a sock puppet by BB. So it all makes sense why it would be so softball. And then the Patrick Bet-David one. Now that threw me for a loop. I was like, oh, I did not realize that this was going to happen with Patrick Bet-David. I didn't think this was going to happen, but it did. And it was also very softball, you know? So it was almost like a little bending of the knee tour. Who was going to bend? Who was going to have me on and allow me to say whatever I want to say? And Charlie Kirk was, of course, when will BB be on Gary's show? He's not doing that. He's not doing that. Do you want to be at Paramount Tactical? You want to be on his show? Tactical. Who is this? Oh, red hair. No. He's descendant of a giant. I've been hearing this on the X. He is descendant of giant. Cannot be trusted. It's like, Goliath. We stay away from this guy. No. Low. Ken. He's giant. That's why his head's so long. I watched this Coach Colin. He's good. I watch him. He tell me head long. We stay away from him. He's not going on his show. He's never going on his show. Gary's like, he's one of those plebs. He's not getting him. His show would have to have views. He got Brian Harpole, but that was like a different thing. Brian Harpole was like, which one? Where can I go to just I just want to tell my story. I just want to talk about mints with someone. Sean Ryan did me wrong. I told my whole story without being interrupted. Sean Ryan shouldn't have let me do that. Gary, can you help me out, please? They're clearly connected. That's the biggest person Gary's going to get. That's it. And his interactions with Baron on X are as big of a person he's going to get. That's it for Gary. That's the big time for Gary. Sorry. That's just the way that goes. It's not going to happen. But the one person who was supposed to bend the knee, who was supposed to have BB on, for sure, I'm sure even BB and his people were surprised. I'm sure Andrew Colvette was surprised, is when Charlie said no. I will not have him on the show. And I would gather that Charlie didn't want him on the show because Charlie was like, well, I'm trying to ask these questions and I'm trying to have this proper conversation. And I know that they're not going to allow me to talk to him and ask him proper questions so he can be seen in a better light, because that is what Charlie wanted. As much as we know he was changing his opinion, he was going max, he wanted them to do better PR. And doing better PR was to confront the things that all of the young conservatives were worried about when it came to Philadelphia. They weren't going to let him do that with BB. So he said no. So he was the one in the podcast circuit that said no, that didn't bend the knee. And that's something that's not focused on quite enough, I think. Even Candace didn't really bring that up. That's what it seemed like to me, you know? It didn't seem like BB needed them, you know? Does BB really need Officer Tatum? I mean, they could have just sent Officer Tatum notes and he'd be like, okay, hey, mama, I can't read none of this, but can you read me these notes? They from Philadelphia, straight from Philadelphia. They from Jesus land. Mama, these notes came straight from Jesus land. He's not dumb like that. I don't even know what I'm doing. He's not like that. Come on. But does he really need them? I don't really think so. You know, it seems like they more need him, especially if they want to climb the ranks. We're seeing it with Patrick Bet-David's podcast. You know, it's slowly becoming this like shill fest. You know, it's becoming like MSNBC in the conservative realm, disguised as independent media. That's what a lot of these guys are becoming like. You know, Officer Tatum is Joy Reid. You know what I mean? They have their Rachel Maddows now. Tim Pool is like Rachel Maddow. Right? Officer Tatum is Joy Reid. Right? Blake and Andrew are Joe Scarborough and Mika. You know? So who's Chris Cuomo? I guess Chris Cuomo is just Chris Cuomo. You know, he's still Chris Cuomo. Dark Levin. yeah. Sorry. No. Officer Tatum is Dark Levin. Sorry, I forgot about that. Who could Joy Reid be? I don't know. Am I Joy Reid? Oh no. Did I become Joy Reid? Oh no. But yeah, that's what I thought about that whole thing. Yeah, exactly. Someone said they're astroturfed. Yeah, that's what it seems like. It seems that way. You know, they have these very leading questions, and it's like, Vinny, what do you think? I just think what he's doing is so great. And you know, all these people who are concerned about Philadelphia, it's like, come on, man, you're getting obsessed now. You know, that's what I'm thinking. Tom, what do you have? Well, I have the numbers here, and it says that people who don't like Philadelphia are pieces of garbage. I mean, this is coming straight from Jesus land, Pat. And Pat's like, okay, how many dollars are we gonna get when we say these things? How many dollars? Because that's the real thing that I'm really worried about. You guys know what I mean. How many dollars are we going to get? That's okay. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm a numbers guy, you know? And then Adam comes in and he's just like, you know, I know you want to do an imitation of Adam. He just sucks. This is like worst person on any podcast by far. I'll watch hours of Officer Tatum before I watch minutes of Adam. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Anyway, we move on. We digress or degress or progress forward. Crazy connections, the big club. This I found to be very weird. Very wild. What else do I usually say? Very interesting. I always say that. Very interesting. Oh, Sneeko's imitation of Patrick Bet David is so on point. Is so on point. It's so good. It's such a like mad respect for that imitation that he does of Patrick Bet David. It is so good. So let's just jump right in here. This is the weird, wild connections that are being made by Candace. And then also I have a clip of Baron talking about a connection. I mean, it makes everything with the Charlie Kirk inner circle seem way more sinister, but also, you know, you have to understand as we go through this, and I'll talk about it again as we go through the clips. I feel like it's very hard to think that he didn't know these people's backgrounds. I feel like it's too hard because it's too easy to figure out someone's background, especially if you're going to hire them and have them work for you. So I'll just say that, but let's get into it. We'll start with Candace here, making these crazy connections.
So random. But of course, you recall that we discovered that Utah is indeed a special place, at least to Bibi Netanyahu, because the Romney family holds considerable political power in Utah. You can't think of Utah without thinking of the Romney family. They are effectively Mormon royalty, and Mitt Romney, as it turns out, is best friends with Bibi Netanyahu. They have a bromance. It's been documented for years in the press, for over 50 years, longer than I have been alive. These two have been besties. We reminded you that they met at the Boston Consulting Group, where they both worked. And they haven't stopped working together and supporting each other since. I told you guys that Mitt Romney's presidential campaign team actually went over to BYU Jerusalem, where, as it turns out, a lot of CIA agents are recruited from. They're approached to work while they're in school during their studies. Very interesting. We've confirmed that.
UVU as well. UVU is also with that. I covered this in a video months ago. UVU is also very much that same type of thing. And it's not out of the ordinary for there to be dozens of current and ex quote unquote military intel people to be around. Not only that, but also a connection to the church as well. And it's not because the church is evil. It's because those people in that church in Utah are so squared away and so good with taking orders and so good with being a part of a group, being a part of an organization. They're so good with that at a young age that they also go there. So it's like the whole of Utah is just like a hub for it, but especially between UVU and BYU.
Now, I'm going to remind you also that from the Boston Consulting Group, Mitt Romney founded Bain Capital with an Israeli spy, Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, as one of his seed investors. All of that is an important recap. Park it in the back of your mind as we now go to my favorite place of all, Fort Huachuca. SAM 702, an Air Force plane given the designation SAM because it is carrying a VIP. That designation is used to transport the president, vice president, cabinet members, commanders, Congress, and other high-ranking government officials or foreign dignitaries. And we wanted to know who was aboard that plane. Not speculating that they did anything wrong. We don't know what happened at Fort Huachuca in the morning, right? We just found a guy who thinks he saw Brian Harpole walking out of a meeting. And for whatever reason, Brian Harpole has been extremely reticent to just present a logical or even respond with a yes or no as to whether or not he was there. We wanted to just know who was there. Forget what they could have been doing there. Maybe there's a rational reason they're there. Maybe they're there because they do some military work. I don't know Brian Harpole like that. Maybe he does. That could have been his answer. Yeah, I was there, but I had a contract that I was working on, and that's what brought me there. Nope. We got an influencer campaign with a lot of special forces guys suddenly in the mix. Very strange, screaming, threats. We're going to take you down. We're going to platform Mitch's baby mamas. What's going on here, man? A simple yes or no would do. I don't know this man, Mitch.
It was wild the way everybody activated right away. It was really, really weird. Really, really weird. I mean, especially over like, videos. Because at the end of the day, everybody just makes videos. Everybody can like build themselves up to whatever they want, but you just make videos. Like you just hit record and you do a thing and you edit and you say an ad read and you're not, you know what I mean? Like if Joe Scarborough isn't much, right? If like the people who are in media aren't much, then like, what are we? Like we're this, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's just me. That's just me. Some people might not like hearing that. But so right now we have Mitt, we have BB. Okay. So there's that connection. We have Mitt and BB towards this Boston consulting group. Okay. That's what we have so far. Okay. So let's move on. Who's the next connection? Okay. Let's move on to the next one.
Mitch, I don't need to die on any hill. Just tell me yes or no. Nobody wanted to do that. So we just got to work and said, who's leaving Fort Huachuca and heading for El Paso, Texas in a time frame that would work with this alleged meeting on the morning of September 9th. And now we can reveal the name of one of those VIPs who was aboard the plane, apparently with 4 other people. His name is Bradley Hansel. He was nominated by Trump to be the Undersecretary of War for Intelligence and Security. He was confirmed by the Senate and sworn in on July 25th, 2025. Tell you what he does. Per our Department of War website, Mr. Hansel exercises authority, direction, and control on behalf of the Secretary of War, that's Pete Hegseth, over all intelligence and security organizations in the Department of War, including the 9 Department of War components that are members of the intelligence community. He also serves as the Director of Defense Intelligence and the Principal Advisor to the Director of National Intelligence on defense intelligence matters. Okay. So he reports directly to Pete Hegseth. He was selected by Trump. And frankly, an argument could be made that it makes sense that he would be at an intel base given his position. But he has a background that I just can't ignore. After serving in the military, first in the Navy and then the Army Special Forces Airborne Division, Brad Hansel immediately went to work for the Boston Consulting Group. Interesting. After some years, he was then picked to work under Trump's first administration as a member of the National Security Council, and he was to work as the special assistant to President Donald J. Trump for national security affairs. When Trump's first term concluded, he went back to the Boston Consulting Group as a principal of the firm for years. He then did a one-off year before being selected again by Trump, the new term, as the undersecretary, which we just told you about. Now, that's interesting to me. I'm like, just like Mitt, BB, Mr. Hansel was formerly employed by the Boston Consulting Group. So I thought, man, what is this Boston Consulting Group? I mean, it just seems to be a pipeline to the White House. Mitt Romney ran, he was a senator. Like, what's going on here? Who are they consulting for? And of course, I asked myself, are there any ties to Israel? I'm just going to be frank. Are there any ties to Israel?
So now we have this super agent type guy. We'll just say high intel guy, right? So now we have BB, we have Mitt, which is Philadelphia and Utah. We have this other guy who's on this plane. He's going to Fort Huachuca. He works for the same group that they worked with. But then the connections go a little deeper, right? I'm sure you guys saw this as well. If not, you're going to. Okay, so there's another connection.
Consulting Group do? Well, they withdrew, of course, likely to save face. And following their exit, another Trump appointee was tapped to become the new chairman of the foundation in their stead. Guess who? Here's Johnny. Yes, Reverend Johnny Moore, one half of the Kairos Company duo with Andrew Colvett once upon a time. That's where Andrew Colvett's from. Working for Johnny Moore at first for finding Charlie Kirk. It really is just such a beautiful story. Everybody knows each other. Everybody knows each other. Check out this headline, Times of Israel. Gaza Humanitarian Foundation taps U.S. evangelical leader Johnny Moore as the new chairman. It tells us that he was appointed as the new executive chairman of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is the U.S. and Israel-backed organization providing aid to Gazans. Its previous CEO, Jake Wood, quit last week, and the Boston Consulting Group abandoned the project today. Thank you, Johnny, for stepping up to the plate to fill in the void left by the Boston Consulting Group, which still led to children and women and men in Palestine being slaughtered. Thank you, Johnny Moore. He would eventually abandon the project in November. There was no fixing it. It's almost like it was a planned genocide or something.
So now we have Johnny Moore. Johnny Moore is also connected. So to this Boston group, which I want to look into more, Boston Consulting Group. I definitely want to look into that more. So now we have BB to Mint to Mitt. Sorry, Mint. I got Mint on the brain. Then we have the Brad guy, super secret agent type guy. Then we have Johnny Moore, who's connected to Andrew Colvett because they actually work together. And this is not like a small connection between the two. This is actually quite a deep connection. I mean, they kind of formed the company together. What is it called? Kairos with a K. So they formed this company together, right? And then he leaves, gets connected to Charlie Kirk, but also Baron showed us just a little while ago that Andrew and John were both actually connected to this organization.
Oh, where have we heard Ehud Barak's name a lot? Oh, yeah, the Einstein files. He lived or stayed with him a lot, stayed with J.E. a whole lot. Served as his chief of staff and security advisor, became a Knesset member, served in the 16th and 17th Knesset. Yeah. So this is the organization that Andrew Colvett was representing. What a weird organization to represent in America. I can't even find a reason why Americans would be supporting such an organization. It's almost like we don't know who he is, Andrew Colvett. This is just weird. This is, I guess, a prelude to them using Charlie Kirk's name, voice, to appoint Erica Kirk. This is the weirdest thing I could find on this. A Jerusalem exhibit lets you talk to Israel's premiers. This is the Friends of Zion Museum. You can go and have a conversation with past premiers like Golda Meir. You could go sit there and talk to her, and they talk about the conversation. This woman says, "You were the third woman in the world and the first in Israel to head a government. What message do you have for young female audience?" And she responded, "The fact that I'm a woman has never hindered me in anything. It never caused me embarrassment, never gave me an inferiority complex. It's not really important to decide at a very young age what a person wants to do. It's much more important that you decide on a way in which you want to live." And that's an image of the AI created Golda Meir answering questions to reporters on the fly. I thought that was bizarre. But I look at this and think, this is weird. Like, this is a weird organization to be involved in. In fact, we find that Johnny Moore is actually still involved with the organization, even though Andrew is now gone full-time at TPUSA. Here is an FOZ, Friends of Zion Ambassador Summit. You have breakout sessions and all this. And here's Johnny Moore giving the Ambassador Summit and graduation ceremony. This is your list of speakers, and you'll see here next to the current Prime Minister of Israel is evangelical leader Johnny Moore, former Andrew Colvett employer. I just look at all this and I say, I don't think Charlie knew what he was getting into with these people. I really don't. I really, really don't. I think the more you look into the people who ingratiated themselves into the community, including his wife, including Andrew Colvett, frankly, including maybe Mikey McCoy, excuse me. I don't think he knew what he was getting into. Because the people Andrew was representing, they didn't think twice about killing somebody who was standing in their way, including their own hostages. That's the Hannibal Directive. They don't even care about killing their own people. You think they care about killing a Iran war opponent who's questioning the incursion into Gaza? I don't think so. I don't think they'd care about that at all. Not those people. And those are the people he was representing. That's the organization he chose to work for. Like, I would look at that list of board members and be like, I'm sorry, guys, this isn't something I feel comfortable doing. It seems kind of bloody. Seems kind of not something I'm wild about, guys. I don't know that I want one of my board members to be the former head of Mossad.
Ooh.
But there's Andrew representing them, being their press guy, writing up press releases for them. And that press release was about the time he goes to track Charlie down and start working for him, when Charlie had a manufactured crisis come up that he couldn't handle. I worry about it. So tonight, I doubled down on 9/11. I doubled down on the arrest date.
So, yeah, very weird. So now you have Andrew Colvett, who's connected to Johnny Moore, who's also connected to this Friends of Zion. It's like just this weird, dark Philadelphian web. And then he gloms on to Charlie Kirk. He grabs on to Charlie Kirk. And now, years later, and not too many years later, but I'm just saying years later, and I'm not pointing any fingers at all, but years later, Charlie's dead. And now this same guy who has connections to Johnny Moore, who has connections to Brad Hansel, who has connections to Mitt, who has connections to BB, is now running his show. And you ask yourself, wow, what a terrible show. Why don't they stop this show? Because now they get to literally, from the grave. You ever heard that Sam Kinison joke? There's a Sam Kinison joke where he talks about someone being passed away. And somebody is doing something to him after he's passed away. You're doing something to him. And he's like, it even happens after you're dead. Oh, this is crazy. It even happens to you when you're dead. Oh. And it's like, that's what's happening with Charlie right now. You know, like I talked about it as I was talking about like the more esoteric and like MK style stuff around Charlie, possibilities. Yeah, that was one of the things that would come up. It was like they were summoning him with what they're doing. They summon him. They have chained him and they summon him in all ways. That's why there was a weird ritualistic thing with the tent, and you can go under the tent and his microphone's there. It's like the things that, like, this is very occulty in my view. You know, you grab onto that thing that he had just as he passed away, and you put him under the tent, and you can take a picture there. It was almost like a death ritual. It was weird. It's very weird having people do that. But you know, now he runs the show. And they're just making Charlie say whatever they want. In fact, they're making Charlie say the things that he would not say, the things that he stopped saying, or, you know, when in regards to Thomas Massey, just completely just like flip-flopping him. They just took over. And you wonder why wouldn't they stop the show? Well, that's why. Because they need the propaganda. Charlie was supposed to supply that from his own mouth. He was supposed to do that. That was the deal. That's what it seems like. There's no way that Charlie doesn't know about these connections. He's very smart, you know? No insult, but he's smarter than you and I. He was very, very intelligent. There's no way he didn't know what Andrew was connected to. There's no way. There's no way he just thought Andrew was just a guy. Because he would be like, who are you? Oh, I want to do like PR for you. Who are you? Oh, me and my buddy, you know, we have this company, Kairos. Yeah. But I'm Charlie Kirk. Who are you? Okay, break it down for me. Well, I'm a part of Friends of Zion, and I work with Johnny Moore, and Johnny Moore's working. Like, for sure, he knew about all of this stuff. There's no way he didn't. I think just at one point, he was down with it all. And he was ready to go. He was like, yeah, this is what we do. I have these high-level connected people. And, you know, this is how it goes. We have these high-level connected people. And we make things happen behind the scenes. And I'm very connected. And he was with it. It's just as he was trying to back out of everything, It was like you're in too deep. You have too many people connected to you now. You can't just back away. You're in the web. You're a part of the web. We can't have you just walk away. And that's why they keep his show going, honestly. Such, somebody was like, oh, it wasn't sinister already. It is. But then as you look at this weird connection through this company, through this Boston consulting group and what they were involved in, I mean, when Candace really gets into it, I mean, talking about what was going on in Philadelphia and Gaza and like all that stuff that they were caught doing, and that's why she ends that last clip I played with her is almost like it was planned. It's like, what is, like, we were just talking about VFT being this weird, like, psyops, Uber Eats for psyops. It's like, what was this thing? What was this consulting group? What is this thing? I don't know, man. Anyway, I just found that absolutely crazy with her episode, probably nothing, probably nothing. But yeah, Charlie, and again, I can't say anything definitively, but it seems like Charlie got taken out by some pretty connected people. It makes every single time there's an episode like this, because this is what I call from Candace like a breadcrumb episode or laying the traps episode. That's what this episode is. It's not one of those like, holy, a text message and this, and it's not one of those drama ones. It's not one of those. It's like this laying the breadcrumbs. She wants you to know about the Boston Consulting Group. It's an open source investigation. She wants people to start looking into it more and more. She probably knows a bunch of things that she hasn't mentioned. It's like this breadcrumb thing going on. So we'll see where it leads. Let's jump into the next one. This is where we start talking about the wild timeline. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole timeline. I actually skipped a bunch of it. Oh, I should also read this thing here. Covette says he's a cradle Catholic, but he looked straight up Philadelphian to me the first time I saw him. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about, well, I agree with you, I should say. I agree with you completely. I don't know what he says he is, but his name is Philadelphian. Like it's an actual Philadelphian word. It's an Eastern European Philadelphian type word. I don't know. He doesn't seem super Christian to me, but I can't, I don't want to judge him like that, but yeah, it doesn't seem like it. I feel like if you dug in his family tree, that's not what you would find. I don't think you'd find a bunch of crosses. I think if you went far back enough, you'd find one big cross and there'd be a guy on it and you'd be like, hey, what'd you do? And he'd be like, you'd run away. But other than that, I don't think there's that many crosses in his lineage. Just saying, it doesn't seem like it, So let's keep going here. Let's move on to the next one. One big cross with just this guy on it. Like I can't tell you who the guy is. There's just one guy and he's on it. And you're like, what did you do? Why did you do this? Did you do this? Huh? And then the Colvettes just run away. Colvette, again, I looked up this name, or somebody looked it up for me. They were looking it up, and it actually means, funny enough, to cover up. It's actually what it means. It has like a Yiddish origins, and German, like Eastern European, like that whole place. And it means to cover up. It means to conceal. Interestingly enough, go look it up. So now let's move on to the timeline. Again, I skipped a big chunk of this timeline. You can go back and watch the other part of it, but this is what really stood out to me. Let's go.
Scroll it down here to June 18th.
Of course, that's how fast it's going. 2:04 in the morning. This is June 18th. She's going on.
That is when Charlie goes into the White House. We have confirmed those dates thanks to Brett Weinstein. goes into the White House and he is arguing for us not to get involved in Israel's war with Iran. And he is debating very powerful Zionist lobbyists who are there to argue on behalf of Bibi Netanyahu. And Charlie emerges the temporary winner of that. Trump moves to limit his involvement. And that's an interesting inflection point, in my view. On that very same day, June 19th, the second day that he's arguing at the White House, Erica purges her Instagram. She deletes 126 posts. I find that to be very unusual. I just find that to be very unusual. On June 22nd, Operation Midnight Hammer, which is when America bombs Iran nuclear sites, that limited military involvement that Trump had agreed to. On July 22nd, but I think that's supposed to be in July. It's in the wrong spot. That Bradley Hansel is confirmed. Sticking with June, the Israel and Iran's war comes to an end on June 26th. This is another weird thing that happens after Charlie wins against Bibi Netanyahu. This writer, Claire Guinan, who had never published before, she has no writing profile at all, writes her first article for Jezebel. This is going to be the writer of the article. If I went onto Etsy, she's new, and this is her. She starts in June. Claire Guinan, no interest in the press about figuring out what inspired her to go on to Etsy, find a new witch profile.
So this is like, I'm going to get into that, but just the fact that Erica purges the Instagram, right? So there's another purge that happens that Candace talks about, but what could Erica possibly be getting rid of? Someone said too much info. It's a lot of info, but but yeah, I'll backtrack a little bit just so we can parse this out properly. But what could she possibly have been purging? So I'll say it like this: what could she possibly have been preparing for? Usually, if you're purging a social media, you are preparing for something. Maybe it's because you're about to do something. Like I had somebody do this. I interviewed somebody and they were just a guy who was like trying to interview famous people. He was like kind of doing like what Charlie Kirk did, trying to interview people, trying to get in the know and this and that. And then he started working for a political party. And then he came to me and he was like, "Hey, can you delete the interview that we did?" And I was like, no, I'm not doing that for you. I'm like, you should just stand on what you said here. And he didn't say anything crazy. It's just that either the way he is now is a lie or the way he was being in the interview is a lie. But I was not there for it. I'm like, I'm not doing that for you. First of all, I barely even know you. You didn't even give a good interview. You were late, which I can't say much about because I'm known to be a little late myself. But I still used it in my mind, compiling things of why I'm not going to do this for this guy. And he wanted to get rid of it. And he was getting rid of everything. He was deleting everything. He was trying to delete pictures, videos, everything that could possibly make him look the way he was before, because now he was with this political party representing this scumbag of a politician. So could she possibly have been preparing for something? Is that a possibility? I think so. But again, couldn't actually tell you. Couldn't actually tell you. But it seems like she was preparing for something. To delete that many things, that takes a lot. Have you ever went and go delete 5 things from your Instagram? It's not like it just you line it up and you just go delete and it just deletes all of them. You got to go each time. You got to go bang, 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 bang. Okay. You do that. You're clicking your screen a 200 some odd times, 240 something times. I don't know. This seems crazy to me. So there was clearly something she was preparing for. Why was she preparing for it? Well, if you look at the timeline again with what Candace just said, the 18th and 19th is where he is actually battling against certain powers that want a war with Iran, and he wins. So that win sent off some kind of signal, and not like a hooray. It wasn't that type of signal. It sent off some type of signal. It was also around the time that he looked at Joe Kent when they saw each other in the White House. I think it was the West Wing, I think they said. And he looked at Joe Kent and said, keep us out of a war with Iran. Joe Kent reported on this. They say that he's lying, but it was at the same time that he was actually going through this whole thing. So it's interesting. Okay, so let's go back to the timeline now. You got to take this information a little bit at a time here. This is a whole lot to just throw at people in one podcast. You know what I mean? That's why I always think these episodes are like leading to something. These episodes aren't the ones to really, these aren't going to blow your mind, but they're the ones where you're going to be able to say, okay, and she talked about this and she talked about that. And, you'll be able to go back. These are like go back episodes. Anyway, let's keep going.
Writer Claire Guinan, who had never published before, she has no writing profile at all, writes her first article for Jezebel. This is going to be the writer of the article. If I went onto Etsy, she's new, and this is her. She starts in June. Claire Guinan, no interest in the press about figuring out what inspired her to go on to Etsy, find a new witch profile, and buy a spell about harming Charlie Kirk, putting a curse onto Charlie Kirk. It's very unusual. We paid some Etsy witches to curse Charlie Kirk. That was just less than 10 days after Charlie won this debate against Bibi Netanyahu's many lobbyists. On July 2nd, Rob McCoy.
So that right there. Now this starts to read as something very interesting. As this lady comes, she gets with Etsy, and then all of a sudden she gets into that whole spell thing where there's some witches trying to harm Charlie. Charlie passes away. They immediately say, we never wanted anything to happen to Charlie. We just hired these witches, and we thought these witches would just do some fun stuff. We didn't realize when we hired them to put a curse on somebody that they could possibly die. That's not what we thought. We thought he'd have massive diarrhea for days or something funny like that. That's what we thought. Okay. But you know what this actually sounds like? This sounds a lot like what happened with Watergate. If you ever hear Tucker Carlson explain what happened to Watergate, what was actually going on, I wonder if I could find that really quickly. There is a point where Tucker Carlson, Watergate. Is it Watergate? I'm pretty sure. There is CIA legal operation. I don't know if he explains it in 1 minute. Is this a 1 minute clip? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how well he can do here.
So the 50th anniversary of Richard Nixon's resignation as president is in August. Nixon.
There's just too much music. Too much music. Losers with your music. This is too much. Tucker Carlson, Watergate. This is it. Beautiful. This is better. This is way better.
At all. Richard Nixon was taken out by the FBI and CIA, and with the help of Bob Woodward, who was a Washington Post reporter who had been a naval intelligence officer working in the White House, working in the Nixon White House. And then he shows up like a year later, and he's this brand new reporter. He'd never been a journalist at all. He's a naval intel officer. The famous Bob Woodward, we all revere. And he's at the Washington Post, and somehow he gets the biggest story in the history of the Washington Post. He's the lead guy in that story. Well, I worked at a newspaper. I've been in the news business my whole life. That is not how it works. You don't take a kid like his first day from a totally unrelated business and put him on the biggest story. But he was that guy. And who is his main source for Watergate? Oh, the number 2 guy at the FBI. Oh, so you have the naval intelligence officer working with the FBI official to destroy the president. Okay, so that's a deep state coup. What else? How would you describe that? If that happened in Guatemala, what would you say? And yet the way it was framed and the way that I accepted for decades was, oh, this intrepid reporter fought power. No. This intrepid reporter, Bob Woodward, was a tool of power, secret power, which is the most threatening kind, to bounce the single most popular president in American history, Richard Nixon, from office before the end of his term and replace him with who? Oh, Gerald Ford, who sat on the Warren Commission. Now, how did Gerald Ford get to be Richard Nixon's vice president? Well, because Carl Albert, the Democrat Speaker of the House, told him, you must choose him. We will only confirm him when they sent the actual elected vice president away for tax evasion, Spiro Agnew of Maryland. So you have a complete setup, like an absolute. Gerald Ford, the only unelected president in American history, actually sat on the Warren Commission. Something else that I accepted at face value until I looked at it, and I was like, that's completely insane. You didn't want to interview Jack Ruby in your investigation of the assassination? Okay, you're fake. Yeah, he was on the Warren Commission. And so, sorry for the long story, but the point is, like that happened in front of all of us, but the way it was framed cloaked the obvious reality of it. The people who broke into the Watergate office building, from which the name is taken, Watergate, I think it was 6 of them or 7 of them, all but one was a CIA employee. That's real. It's like, look it up on Google. So the whole thing, Richard Nixon was elected by more votes than any president in American history in the 1972 election. He was the most popular by votes, which is the only way we can really measure popularity, the most popular president in his reelection campaign. And 2 years later, he's gone. Undone by a naval intel officer, the number 2 guy at the FBI, and a bunch of CIA employees. You tell me what that is.
So when she tells that story about that writer just randomly coming into to write for, go to Etsy. She's a writer just starting, goes to Etsy, fresh accounts. If you don't know, the Etsy account was very fresh. It had been up for maybe a month. Very fresh account. They do the curse. He passes away. They close it down, and that's it. And they just release a statement saying, hey, we didn't want anything to happen. See, very similar. It just, I had the same thing in mind. So it just triggered something. I was like, really weird. So that's what came to mind for me for that. I guess we'll play a little bit more of the timeline, just a little bit more. Here, let's check out this timeline a little more.
Formally resigns as the lead pastor of Calvary Church. He's intending to move to Arizona. July 4th, the Financial Times article comes out about the Boston Consulting Group and Project Aurora. On July 11th is Tuckergate. Tucker Carlson speaks at the Turning Point USA conference, and the donors lose their mind. Tucker calls out Jeffrey Epstein on stage. He's asking where all this money is coming from, who is serving. If you are serving in a foreign army, you should be stripped of your citizenship. He muses about where Bill Ackman's wealth comes from as well. On July 14th, this is just a fact, could have nothing to do with anything, but I found it interesting. Erica travels to Long Beach, California to speak at James Caddis's Calvary Chapel Church for their Women's Summer of Psalms retreat. That's interesting because James Caddis heads up the Turning Point USA Faith Department. But in this speech, Erica says that this is her Sunday church. And I found it bizarre or strange that the speech was remarkably pro-Israel, about a call to arms for Israel, given the fact that Charlie was amidst having donors cancel him over Tucker and was under tremendous pressure and was holding the line against Israel. I just found it weird that his wife would then give this remarkably pro call of arms to Israel.
So again, going back to what I said before with the purge, like what could she have been preparing for? I don't know. What could she have been preparing for there? Her husband's under tremendous pressure, like Candace just said, but then also at the same time, she's doing pretty much the opposite. I don't know. Again, what could she be preparing for? I have no clue. I know she runs the company now, but that doesn't mean she was preparing for it. I have no idea.
Real speech. That just seems like, wouldn't have been my decision. But Erica is unusual in general. We are then told on July 18th, and that's according to local news in Utah, that Turning Point USA then submits for Charlie to do his event at Utah Valley. We have not been able to independently confirm that. We have not seen the paperwork. what student requested him to go. This is a very strange blind spot. I told you this is late in the day for Turning Point USA. I went on tour every year with Charlie. I don't care who tries to tell you otherwise. This is not when a campus tour comes together. You don't submit and then you're instantly honored. There's a very long waiting list to get Charlie to speak and whoever is speaking with him.
Huh. So the request for Turning Point to be at UVU is submitted to hold his event at UVU. That was covered, though. Ah, man, a bunch of us made videos about this months ago because the paperwork was actually found. Someone actually found the paperwork. They got a hold of it. Oh, man, I don't know. The only person I could ask that might just know that right off the bat, I don't expect them to answer now, would be Project, the human version of Eric Cartman. Hey, bro, do you remember or have any posts towards people finding the UVU paperwork for Charlie Kirk to speak at UVU? Period. Or question mark, I should say. There was definitely a request put in and someone found the paperwork and we found the date and time. Comma, do you remember this? Question mark. If so, send me the post. Because I remember you posting about it. I know I did videos about it. Let me know if you find anything. Because that was found. From what I remember, we found that. I remember people showing the date and time, and it didn't make any sense because it was way faster than Candace was saying was possible. Way faster, because it was like within days. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he can actually get back to me on that. But that was actually a confirmed thing here. And then the rest of the timeline, the last thing here, I'll just say Charlie on vacation in Maine for a couple of weeks with his family in Maine. Probably saw Tucker Carlson for sure. Goes off radar. Mikey McCoy and his wife, Eliza, joined them for the first time. It's announced Nebraska. They are having to go do a trade investment trip with Egypt. A private record meeting has taken. This is not the stuff that stands out to me as much, but that's stuff that I was focusing on before. Him fighting against the war, Erica purging, things like that. Those things really stood out to me. Really, really stood out to me. As just good old American fun, nothing crazy. And you can't have good old American fun unless you include some Philadelphians. Everybody knows that. Should be grateful to those people. Should be grateful to that government over there. Is that a hot take? I'm becoming Officer Tatum. The more I do an impression of Officer Tatum, the more I become him. Y'all should be grateful. Y'all should be grateful that them Philadelphians want to run this government over here. Y'all should be grateful for that type of thing. I think it's the best thing. A nigga like myself knows his place. One day he'll see this and be like, this so stupid. This so stupid. I don't even talk like that. And I don't never call out to my mama. I ain't never called out to my mama one time on the show. What's he talking about? For sure. One day he's going to see. You can only ignore it for so long. Eventually, he's going to have to confront this. I ain't never brought up my mama. One time. Okay, maybe one time I'll call out to my mama, but man, he's doing it all the time. Like mama in the studio with me. Mama ain't in the studio with me. Pan the camera over. Look, mama ain't over there. And then in a year he becomes me, and that's it. He puts on a hat. I take off my hat. He gets rid of his tattoos that are written in Philadelphian. I get tattoos from this one side of my neck all the way to the other, all Philadelphian letters. It'll happen. You guys will be flabbergasted when it does. And he'll be like, let me tell y'all, I need y'all put on y'all tinfoil Speedos right now. Now, I don't know if y'all know this, but y'all ever heard of Project Bluebeam? Project Bluebeam means they gonna lie to us. They gonna try and bring Jesus back, y'all. They gonna try and bring Jesus back through holograms and all that nonsense. Y'all can't fall for this. If Jesus come back, you gotta try and touch him. Because if he a hologram, your hand gonna go through. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. Y'all know there's lizard people. Y'all ever heard about this? I ain't never heard about this before. Now let's break down Candace. What's going on with Candace, y'all? He starts the episode like because he's a hillbilly. Ah, come on. I'm joking. He's not. He's a good guy. I just gotta tell y'all, the occult is doing some wild things, y'all. Y'all know that UVU campus was shaped like a pentagram? Huh? Y'all ever seen that? It's shaped like a pentagram. Y'all ever heard of this MK? I guess I gotta call it Mortal Kombat Ultra. Y'all ever heard about this Mortal Kombat Ultra, y'all? They was doing things to people's brains, y'all. I'm serious. He loses his whole following. He loses all his subscribership overnight. Meanwhile, I have millions of subscribers. Millions. I'm dressed in blue and white. There's blue and white flags behind me. Forget Joe Rogan's face. There's a blue and white flag there. I got one sitting on the desk. Friend of the show. Great guy. So now we move on to Baron. Okay, this is very, very difficult. This episode is one of the densest episodes I've seen of Baron, and it's because of Drey. Okay, it is because of Drey. All right, I'm going to put that out there right now. It's not because of your humble host. Your humble host is doing the dissecting. I'm sorry I caught him in that frame. I did not realize he was caught in that frame. Did not realize, but there he is, Someone said more Sam Kinison. I can't. It's really hard to work Sam Kinison impressions into anything. It's really, really hard. If I see an opening, I'll take the opening. I will, I promise. But man, you're never getting rid of Joe. I think I might. Somebody was giving me good ideas, good pictures. Dave Chappelle. I'm thinking like a black and white picture. And I'm thinking, even though they're at odds with each other, they don't like each other. I'm thinking of Dave Chappelle, Candace Owens, black and white with the splashes of color. None of the color is touching them. I'm thinking something like that. Neon, green, pink, blue, splashes all around them. Maybe we put crowns on both of them. You ever seen those type of pictures? I'm thinking something like that. If I can get something like that, that's twice as big as this, I would go with that in a heartbeat. 100%. I would go with that in a heartbeat. That's what I'm thinking. Right. I'm thinking about that. I think that would be solid. I think that'd be a solid picture to have. Sorry to have you on screen like this for so long, Baron. Let me get you out of this frame really quick.
It's kind of where.
There you go. Now he's normal. Let's keep going. Man, I saw him talking about, I didn't get to watch this episode live, but when I did, now Drey's in a terrible frame. Now she looks angry at Baron. She looks like she's berating him. I got to see the end of this episode, or maybe it was the end, maybe it was the beginning, but he was explaining what it's like, is how much having a granddaughter has, like, how much it grows the feeling that he has. I was like, man, that's so good. This is so good. I pray everybody out there that has young kids gets to be a grandfather one day. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It looks like it, at least. Anyway, so let's get into this, right? So we'll start here. Okay. I'm just gonna work through these timestamps that I have. I have a bunch of them. Shout out to Lainey Lamb supplying me some timestamps here, but there's just too many. I like to break down things simply for people. And this is just not going to be one of those things. This is going to be like my own breadcrumb episode. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight to 20 minutes. How this investigation began. Okay, let's have her explain that.
Trying to build the White House is actually sitting on top of what looks like to you, and you've convinced me, a massive computing operation, a massive potential, what we would call as a data center.
Yeah, no, that's a better way to put it. Because I think when people hear data center, they think, oh, the big warehouse that Amazon's going to put up with all this smoke plumes and stuff. And it's a processing, computer center.
So you come across this idea, you because you're chasing corruption, because you've linked this corruption to this processing power that they appear to be building under the ballroom. You realize, okay, they have all this ability to process. And if you're going to process, you have to process something. So we know what that is. But the question is, where's it coming from? What are they putting in there? Is that sort of where you started before you came across what you came across?
Yeah. Well, and also I have to hand it to, Larry Ellison of Oracle, who has been really my guiding light through all of this, because he's done all of this in various capacities before. And so with, this particular situation, the only reason I took the approach I did in the way that I was kind of looking for this data is because of what Ellison and Oracle had been doing for the past 10 years up until 2024, when he was building those personal dossiers on some, 5 billion Americans out of 8 billion Americans on Earth, mind you.
8 billion.
And
8 billion.
8 billion. Yeah, at the time. Well, when those numbers were run, 5 billion people. Yeah, he was creating these very detailed dossiers. And in 2024, he went to court over it and had to end up paying out $115 million lawsuit, because, you can't really be keeping those kinds of things on people. And, I just think it was convenient timing, because with that, the way that he did it was quite clever. Like, he had all these websites that he would buy, and he'd merge them together, and he'd put little cookies on each website. So Blue Kai, for instance, would have this little invisible, like little box that would appear when you'd go onto the website, and you wouldn't see it or anything. And it would ping something to your browser. And then your browser would ping over to this other website that he bought that had like a couple of pixels that would be capturing information. Like, he had this way that he did it. And I remember studying that, and I was like, that's so crazy. Like, what a crazy person thing to do. And given that he's the shadow president, Trump's words, not mine.
He's a shadow president. Okay, so we're gonna move from there. I just want to get, so now this is where they talk about Larry Ellison a little bit, data collection, noting Oracle paid 150. So let's not go there. Let's go straight to Genesis mission. Actually, you know what? Let's jump right over to when she starts talking about National Design Studio. Let's jump over there. Coincidentally, and this is not my fault, blame Baron at 33 minutes. Let's go.
Volunteer to beautify the government, which is kind of funny, because on the National Design Studio's website, if anybody goes on it, whatever, they have a history of design, and it's like 4 pictures of like different logos that were once designed for the US. So there's not really, I feel like everybody's kind of being sold this idea that he wants to beautify the space. He wants to paint the ground, blue, because he wants it to look beautiful. He wants to build the ballroom because he wants it to look beautiful. There's nothing about aestheticizing this that is, it's not vain. There's a purpose, I feel like, for every piece of this, kind of architecture.
So from the executive order, we're going to beautify the country. We're going to do it through this company called National Design Studio. Is that a federal agency, or is that a private company?
So it is an initiative, and there's a couple of things that are important to mention. So there's some dates here that are important. In section 3 of the, I had to cut a lot of this from the video just because I tried to stay focused on it. But these dates I do think are important, especially when we go to talk about the Kirk stuff later. Section 3 talks about implementing America by design, and the chief design officer is going to have produced initial results by July 4th, 2026. And this was signed in August of 2025. So I think that that's interesting that it gave an initial results date of July 4th. And then there's also a sunset clause in here that says that this agency that it's creating is going to wind down in 2028. And so I also thought that that was an interesting flag, where I'm like, why do we need to sunset something that's so desperately needed? If it's like a tech service of sorts, like beautifying in tech, like that's probably something we're going to need ongoing. And if they want to digitize everything, that's going to take years. Like that Iron Mountain has hundreds of thousands of millions.
So the sunsetting, basically, it's just like Doge. The way that Doge was like a special operation of sorts, and Elon was supposed to be a special government employee only for a certain amount of time. That's the same type of thing. So they felt like they only needed it up until 2028. What comes with 2028? An election, hopefully, a different president. A lot of people might say hopefully there as well, because there's speculations. What also happens there is we're closer to Agenda 2030. By then, the ballroom should be done, which means what's under the ballroom should be done as well. Maybe you don't need this whole thing once whatever is supposed to be happening in the ballroom and under it is finished. Those could be the reasons why they sunset this whole thing. Also, it could just be a lie. There's also that, just because they say it doesn't mean it's going to stop. They've said Mortal Kombat Ultra was stopped. I don't think it stopped. They said the remote viewing research stopped. It didn't stop. They kept going. So, you have that. So let's keep going here.
Of pieces of paper in it that need to be digitized. So it seems weird to wind something down in 2028 and have, the results in July 4th.
But is National Design Studio that is a federal initiative. That's not a private company.
It is the exact terminology is it's like one of the C3
IC3.
What was Doge? It was the same thing. It was the federal initiatives, but like it's off the books basically.
Okay. So it's a short-term temporary initiative under the guise of the federal government that is run by private individuals.
Yeah, run by private individuals and backed by private individuals.
And so they, like Elon Musk famously was on Doge. He wasn't a government employee. He didn't take a paycheck, but he had temporary, I think they last 180 days or 270 days. They have temporary access as if they were federal employees. That's kind of a hybrid position. You're private, but we're going to give you the access of a federal government employee. Yeah,
well, they're not really supposed to have that much access. I think he obviously went a little off the rails, to say the least, with it. But the type of government entity that it is just like it's supposed to be temporary, and so they're not supposed to have like this same carte blanche pass. But the fact that the studio is reporting to Susie Wiles in the executive office, I'm like, well, that's not a design studio. Susie Wiles, I mean, we've seen the pictures. She doesn't care about, the beautification of stuff. Come on.
So Susie Wiles, being the chief of staff for the president of the United States, probably the top 5 most powerful people in the country at any given moment, because they sort of set the agenda for the president. They control access to the president. They set his daily schedule, for example. So the chief of staff is a very important position. So talk me through, now we got an idea what National Design Studio is. We see that it's hyperlinked on these websites and that they're designed and engineered in DC by National Design Studio. So what does that mean to you? Well, you see that and now what?
Well, I see a company that's set up the same way that Doge kind of was, and that makes me nervous because I know Doge was a huge data grab. I mean, the day that that Congress got locked out of the Department of Education, remember? And they were doing that that was the first day that it kind of like hit me like a train that, oh, this is going to be easy for them. Like to take over the government is going to be easy. I mean, look at how easy that was. And that was just the first, let's see what we can get away with data grab. And so seeing the same structure. And then when I started kind of pulling on the threads of the people behind it, like Joe Gebbia, and saw the, oh, he was on the Tesla board. Oh, he took Ellison's seat on the Tesla board. Oh, he was with Doge. Like, oh, that's when my brain starts putting together all those other threads.
Well, let's put the people in place. So we have the National Design Studio. That doesn't mean anything to me at the moment because, I'm watching your video. I've just heard the word for the first time. Who is on the National Design Studio? You just mentioned Joe Gebbia. Joe Gebbia is who?
Joe Gebbia he is the chief design officer of the National Design Studio. Current former CEO of Airbnb. He stepped back in 2022, though.
And why does that raise a red flag for you that he's on the National Design Studio?
I mean, it doesn't until it does. Like, I found that interview with him when I was trying to learn about him, and I was listening to him talking. He brought up Peter Thiel and all the foundations and Kushner and stuff, and I was like, oh, well, okay, so we see where the alignment is here. My feelings of Airbnb aside, seeing that he was a part of Doge is just a huge red flag for me. And it just seemed like, the way that he was talking about the design studio, he referred to it as like, we're doing something like the Manhattan Project. Like, he used those terms too, and I was like, oh no, I hope, is this like part of this Genesis mission situation? And so he just kind of set off generals like, oh, this is unwell. I feel unwell about this.
Are there any other former?
Okay. So the reason she's worried about this former Doge person, because I was wondering this, I guess because what was said, and this is why I was clapping for Doge like a seal. I was like, Doge is going to balance the budget, bro. Doge is going to find $90 trillion in fraud, and it's going to be the golden age. That's what I was saying, like part of my brain was removed. I put it back in recently. That's what I was saying. But what a lot of other people were saying was that Doge has this access that they shouldn't have. And they have employees that are not government employees, are not federal employees, that should not be accessing these records. And what they were accessing was everything about you. Everything about you. Every single thing you can think of, from medical to financial to personal to data, everything. They just kept on accessing all of this. And what people were linking it to was what Larry Ellison was all about. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say Larry Ellison. I should say Peter Thiel, because what people were linking it to is Doge was actually the conduit to which Palantir was going to get access to all of your information, and this whole surveillance state thing was going to kick off in a much bigger way because of it. Now she's worried about that Doge employee being there because he is now potentially, allegedly, furthering that type of agenda and allowing more access to be had through these websites, these hidden websites, these hidden .govs that were not supposed to be seen, that are doing, we'll just say, nefarious activity, allegedly. So that makes sense. So I want to move on. I want to keep it moving to, so we went through the Doge employees already. Let's jump over here. What minutes are we at? Let's go to 58 minutes, 50 seconds, where we see her discuss, and Baron's going to discuss this as well. Let's go.
The certifications, I think, are really interesting. And then the last certified.
Oh, just because you can't see it, right? No, that's not cool. We're not doing that. Not for more than 3 seconds. No. It's a new day. It's a new day. We don't do this anymore.
Meaning that they were updated is really interesting to me too.
But the fascinating part to me is, so and we could talk about login, because I think login is the second most interesting part of this. Login.gov, if you or ID.me, if you've ever interacted with any federal website and where you have to pay taxes, get your information, order an IRS transcript, like if you've ever had to do any of these things, then you've had to open a login.gov or ID.me account. If you enroll in Medicare, Medicaid, you get on, there's all these different reasons you would have to open one of these accounts. I think you said in your video, there's like 150 million or 175 million people so far have opened.
150 million. Yeah. And I've done it. I've opened an account. I forget for what, but yeah, they're like these logins that you have to scan. You're like, do the geometric or whatever you call it to get in. And it's your literal passkey for everything else. Like, oh, don't worry. Now you can get in if you want to look at your tax returns, or if you want to, whatever.
Yeah. And you're saying that login.gov has this same capacity by the National Design Studio?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so
or it's going
again,
to?
all I know is that the guy who is running login.gov, which let me pull his name really quick, he was a part of Doge and he's running it. And so that's just enough concern. Greg Hogan is running login.gov, and he was on Doge. And so now him proofing the identity services is just a whole, like, aren't they in court right now? Like, That doesn't feel good.
No, and so we
The way she explains things is actually really fun. That doesn't feel good. She is just starting out, guys. Okay, she's going to get better and better. Look at Baron. Look at Baron. Look at the illustrious, humble host here, and where he began. She's on her journey, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. She sounds like Conan O'Brien. You're just seeing red hair. You're just a gingerist. That's gingerism that you're putting out there, sir. Who said this? That is gingerism. Oh no, I got this the wrong thing here. I pulled up the wrong person. Who said that? Who said that? Let me just find it. Because now if I don't find it, it just looks like I said that about her. I didn't say that about you, Drey. I reached out to Drey to do an interview way before, and now she's not going to do it for sure because I'm talking about her being a ginger and Conan O'Brien and stuff. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, Drey. It was somebody else. It was one of these ne'er-do-wells that that I host here on the show. It was one of them. It was one of that. There he is. I told you I didn't make it up. That's not me. That's not my burner account. That's somebody else. Doesn't look like Conan O'Brien. How dare you? But I get it. So I get it now. So that's the big problem, is that all of these Doge employees that were supposed to actually be like Elon Musk, some of them have stayed. I think Big Balls stayed. If you don't know who I'm talking about, there was a young guy in Elon's team. They gave him the nickname Big Balls. He was tied up in some stuff like Blake. They found like a bunch of weird online stuff that he was doing that was like racist and xenophobic and all those words that they throw at people. But it was really him, and he really did it. So Big Balls, I think, stayed, and a couple other people stayed, and that's actually not supposed to happen. So they went from being these engineers that were just necessary, that were just going to be moved away, just like Elon, and actually they stayed. So it's almost like Elon brought these guys, minus himself. They ended up staying. Again, what type of picture does that paint for you in terms of surveillance, in terms of people having access that shouldn't have access? I don't know. It seems bad to me. Seems really bad to me. But I just want to jump over to her video really quick. Just really, really quick. I wish I could just find the one thing where she talks about the websites and how she found them, because now they're like dissecting it, but you still need the meat of what it was that she was talking about. So let's just go here really quick.
Yeah, this is what I like to call DEFCON 1 territory, okay? Because what I believe they are doing is building a parallel federal government inside the executive branch on private infrastructure. And it is all being built by the same people who got sued the last time they touched any federal data. Now, I've been investigating the National Design Studio for the better half of 2 weeks now. And what I have found, especially over the last few days, has shaken me to my core. Honestly, it has made me very scared. Okay. And this investigation is going to go pretty deep. Okay. So I need you to stay with me here. Please stay focused, because the deeper this goes, the worse it gets. Now, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, then you'll know that over the past few months, I've been covering two main stories. The first being this ballroom that's going up in place of the East Wing, and the military apparatus that they are building underneath it, which Donald Trump has admitted on camera goes 6 stories underground and includes a military hospital and research facilities, etc., etc.
What you don't see. What? A military hospital? 6 stories? I didn't know that. Did you guys all know? Did you guys have that pictured? I didn't have that pictured in my head. A military hospital underneath the ball. Listen, sometimes I get overzealous with it, but hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. I've heard enough. Okay? I've heard quite enough. Hands behind your back. That's enough. A military hospital, 6 stories? It sounds like the archive of the Vatican. That's crazy. Okay. All right. Well, let's keep going. This is why Drey's a good follow. Drey's a good listen.
The floors that I believe beneath here. And they have very, very important rooms down there. The most important. We went down 6 stories.
And the second is the Genesis mission, which is the federal AI program, which I believe is being built around Oracle and the largest supercomputer in American history, called Solstice. And I've been saying for a while now that these two stories are connected, but there has to be some layer in between, some piece of digital infrastructure that is linking the underground hardware to the data that's being assembled by the AI program. And it is through my investigation of the National Design Studio that I think I found that layer. And I found it almost by accident, which doesn't make it any more pleasant, but here we are. So earlier this week, I was perusing Trump RX, right? As one does, the new federal prescription drug pricing website. I was curious. I just wanted to see what they had going on. So I was scrolling around, and at the bottom of the page, I noticed something that I have not noticed on any other federal website. In the footer of the page, it said right above the privacy policy, designed and engineered in DC by National Design Studio. The whole website, by the way, looks like it was created on Wix with widgets, and it's bizarre. But that line in particular is pretty weird because federal websites don't have design bylines. I mean, the IRS does not credit the design studio for that website, neither does Social Security or the FBI. Like, nobody does that with federal government websites. Moreover, the design studio is hyperlinked to it. So when you click on it, it takes you to the National Design Studio's website, which I don't love. And in a minute, you're going to see why. Now, National Design Studio, which I'll be referring to as NDS throughout this video, reads more like a tech startup than anything else. And the site itself doesn't really tell you much beyond the mission statement language and recruiting copy. Like, it's very boilerplate and very in your face with how hip and cool it is, very Silicon Valley. And there was no page telling you about who was on the team or who was running it. So I had to do a little digging. And the first name that came back to me was somebody named Joe Gebbia. He is known as the Chief Design Officer of the United States, working with NDS. Now, you probably have never heard of Joe Gebbia. Lord knows I hadn't before this. But fear not, he's the co-founder of Airbnb. So, if anybody knows how to improve public spaces, it's the company that took residential spaces and made sure the public could never actually afford them again. He stepped back from Airbnb in 2022, but it's the years since then and now that really interest me, because in September of 2022, Tesla appointed him to their board of directors. Yes, in fact, the seat he took had just been vacated by Larry Ellison. Yes, that Larry Ellison, the founder and chairman of Oracle. And hold on to old Larry Berry and Oracle in the back of your head, okay? Because this is going to come back up in a moment. Then in August of 2025, Donald Trump signed an executive order creating a brand new federal office called the National Design Studio. This is also when
Okay, so she's really starting right from the beginning, but we've gotten a little bit of breakdown. I want to know about the websites.
See, the records he was trying to digitize live in a place called Iron Mountain. About an hour north of Pittsburgh, in a town called Boyers, Pennsylvania, there's a limestone mine 220 feet underground. And the federal government has been using this limestone mine as a retirement office since 1960. What do I mean by that? Well, the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, keeps 450 employees working down there full-time, alongside 26,000 filing cabinets holding over 400 million paper records, processing about 10,000 federal retirements every month by hand. And I know the first thought that comes into a lot of people's minds is, why the hell do we have that? Like, why do we still have physical paperwork for processing people's retirements? And the reason is not because we technologically have not been able to digitize it. I mean, every administration since Reagan has tried to digitize these records, and every single one of them has failed for a multitude of reasons. It's because in order to do it correctly, meaning lawfully, with the legal protections that the Federal Office of Personnel requires, is genuinely a very expensive thing to do, and it's politically very contentious. Because the reality is that physical paperwork in a mine has a different level of protection than digitized paperwork. And so Joe Gebbia and his team over at Doge said, we can do it, and they started to move these records onto the digital infrastructure that the White House now controls. Yeah, instead,
I think she's super intelligent, but I also think that the reason that they're leaving it as paper in a mine is because that way it won't be accessed by many people, because then you actually have to go there to the limestone mine that's 200 and some odd feet deep and walk around and find stuff. Real easy to make things disappear and pop up and this and that when everything's in paper, and shred this and don't worry about that. And it's in the mine. Who's going down to the mine? I think it's more that, honestly, But anyway, get to the websites. Where's the website part?
Down. But that operation was obviously valuable enough to Ellison that he ran it for over a decade and only quit when he was forced to. And so I just think it's, funny timing that 5 months after Oracle exits the dossier business, Joe Gebbia joins Doge in the White House. And now 6 months later, he's running the National Design Studio with a lot of the same framework that Doge had. And so my question was simple. What if that same playbook is running here on federal websites with owns the website. And this page was calling out to Post Hog over and over and over again. I mean, I had just opened the page and was more or less just sitting there. And to the best I can read it, the page was already on the phone with Post Hog telling them everything about me. And so I looked a bit closer at what instructions Trump RX was actually giving to Post Hog. And what it was doing was recording my session with the IP address not stripped, meaning that it was not anonymized. And here's what's really interesting, because these session recordings were being disguised to make it look like they were going back to Trump RX to your browser. But in actuality, there's a script in the JavaScript that is actually forwarding it to Post Hog. And the thing is that this is a technique that companies have been using to get past ad blockers for ages, right? But this is not the kind of thing that you expect to see on a federal drug pricing website. And so I'm alarmed, right? And I decided to go look at the other websites that this office had built to see if it was doing the same thing. And what do you know? Yeah. It is. I mean, this includes the realfood.gov, the federal food policy site, Trump accounts, you know, the Trump Children's Savings Program or whatever it is, and even the studio's own homepage, ndstudios.gov. And so all of them have the same vendor, right? The same setup. The IP address is not stripped, the same trick to hide where all the data is going. But I noticed something particular with ndstudio.gov, and it was only on ndstudio.gov. There was this second system that was running alongside Post Hog that someone had built entirely by hand from scratch. It was this long string of code, about 540 lines of JavaScript with a name embedded right into the code. It was called Auto Monitor. Now, look, I'm no professional web developer, so I sent it over to a friend of mine who is a web developer and is much more into the computer smarts than I am. And from what he can tell, he said that he thinks that what it does is rewire the part of the browser that handles how a page talks to the outside world. So basically every conversation that the page has with any other server gets copied and forwarded to somewhere else. And we tried to follow that somewhere to see where it ended up, and it turns out it goes to a private backend with no public page. So nobody answers when you knock. Now, I want to be honest about what I can and cannot prove here. From what I can see.
So basically, when you go online and you go to a government website, the government tracks everything about you. And they just whether it's nice or not, or, you know, above board or not, they just grab it all and they just bring it all in. And they're doing this because the Doge engineers actually put this into action, allegedly, apparently, I don't know. They put it all into action because they want all your information, because they're working with Peter Thiel, and it needs to go to Palantir so there can be massive surveillance. And that's why they need the data center underneath the White House, as well as 6 stories of, I don't know, and data centers all over the country, because the amount of data that they're collecting from all the people needs a lot of data centers to actually have it all not be in a limestone mine underground. That's what it seems like to me. If I had to sum all this up very, very quaintly, that's where I would go with that. I want to just go to the Charlie Kirk stuff. I'm gonna be honest. I want to see the Charlie Kirk stuff. I want to hear the Charlie Kirk stuff. That was the thing that Baron was really into, as well as myself. Let me see here. And, you know, the reason I say it like that is because it's no surprise. I mean, if Edward Snowden told you what was going on years ago, and Julian Assange just got out of jail, not even out of jail, just got out of what he was in for the longest time, then you should kind of have a guess that they're constantly watching you, just all the time, everything that you do. You know, I saw some people in the comments talking about via Wi-Fi, via Bluetooth. All that is true as well. There are the capabilities, allegedly, maybe, perhaps. I've never used it. I know you haven't either, but we know that it exists. The patents are there. So let's just move on to, where is the Charlie Kirk stuff? I just want the Charlie Kirk tip line. Bang, there it is. 1 hour, 7 minutes. Let's go over to that. Let's check this out really quick, because this is interesting. This is very interesting. Someone said, yes, Westworld. Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't find it. So that has been taken down. So when I saw you,
so the tip line's been taken down, just to know where they're at right now. They're talking about the tip line. The tip line's been taken down.
Your story, I immediately thought, wait a minute. I went back and thought, is that other website still active? I couldn't find it. It wasn't active. So then I had to think, why would they remove the tip line? First, why did they want the tip line? They knew who the guy was within like 33 hours, so that was the famous 33 hours. They knew who he was. They had him in custody, allegedly. They said he was a lone wolf, allegedly. So why do we need an FBI tip line? Why do we need a upload all your videos, upload all your footage, upload all your audio, upload all your camera snaps? And I thought, okay, well, maybe they're just trying to collect evidence to make sure he's guilty. If we see him scampering across campus, if we, can coordinate sound, we can, try and locate the bullet or whatever.
Am I mistaken? Did they not use some Ring doorbell? Like people were submitting footage? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So there was Ring doorbell footage. There was iPhone footage. There was other people had different types of cameras that were out there. And they did get a lot of that. We don't know what all they got because they didn't release it. They just captured it. Now, my thought was, because this is how I think everything's an op. My thing was they were making sure that nobody captured the real hit. Nobody saw what actually happened. They wanted to know what all was out there so they would never be surprised at trial. They would never be surprised in the days leading up to trial. Nobody would ever drop something on them at the last second and say, oh, here's some newly discovered footage that no one's seen before. That they would know what's out there. They would be able to analyze it with AI. They would be able to, have analysts go over it with a fine-tooth comb. And so they collect all this in the Utah Valley Shooting FBI.gov website. Well, now that website's missing. We don't know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about that is if you were to drop a FOIA request or a discovery request, if you're the defense team and you say, I would like access to all the footage, everything that was uploaded, I want it. I think they would have to give it to you. It's material that's in possession of the federal government. It's part of the investigation that you're defending against. I think Tyler Robinson's defense team would be able to get that. I also think, particularly after the case is over, after he's either pleads guilty or found guilty or whatever, let's assume it doesn't go his way, that would now be FOIA-able, and they would have to release that to everybody. And now the whole country, this holy Charlie Kirk sphere that's developed, everybody would get access to all that footage, and then we would start going over it with a fine-tooth comb. And you've seen what's happened. You have people doing analytics on sound. You have people doing analytics on flashes that they see in windows. You have people looking through trees and seeing flashes. You have people looking at every face that's moving in every location. People dedicated. I'm going to watch every person in this frame right here. I'm going to track them. You watch every person in this frame over here and you track them. All that would be available. Now, that's under the old website because that's under the FBI. Things are different when they get under the executive office of the president. The executive office of the president is allowed to shield things from disclosure under national security, under all kinds of different rules. There are ways the office of the president doesn't have to disclose that information. So when I saw your story and it talked about this Charlie Kirk tip line website being created, my immediate thought was, are they transferring all that data to the office of the president in order to shield it because now they don't have to release it?
And is it 12 years or something like that they get to shield it for? Or it's like a certain number of years? They can shut the door of the vault and as we've seen before and go away with it. Yeah, and that's why I texted it to you when I came across it, because it's I like I said, I can only get to that Cloudflare love as a skill. So I know it's a part of the same NDS family, the National Design Studio. I know that the National Design Studio is doing something with data that is aggregating. And given that they are creating all of these shadow government adjacent looking websites, like that just say like TrumpRx.gov, like it looks like a regular government website. It has the thing at the top that says, here's how you know that this is a government website.
I caught her in a terrible frame, just a terrible frame. Yeah, no, FOIA is for everybody. FOIA is for all of you, any of you that want access. The people who got access, the person who got access to the text messages between the guy who paved over Charlie Kirk's crime scene and the UVU person, that was just a request made by, I think their name on X is like Jack Camelot or something like that. That's what that was. Like, this is for all of you at any time. It might take some time. It takes a little bit of legwork, a lot less than you would think, but that is for all of you. All of you can do this. You do not have to wait for somebody else to do this. You do not have to wait for Baron or anybody to do that. You know, you can all do that. We've all made that face. That's so funny. Mike Riley. Yeah, let me get her out of that face. There she goes. Yeah, now she's normal. But yeah, very interesting. So I wonder if they're like shielding that now. And now they're referencing 12. Have you done? No. I have not done a request. I don't know what to request. You know, that's actually an interesting thing. You know, a lot of these people do these open sourced type of investigations. I wonder, you know, should people like myself, like Baron, whoever, have like a little dedicated person or team? Because, you know, you got a grandfather on the screen over here. I'm a young dad. You know, maybe we're not going to have the time to do it. But are there people who are just aside who just say, okay, just do this FOIA request? The people have asked for FOIA requests in this, and this. Get it all done, and let's see what we come back with. You know, the same way people are like, you know, I'm going to read this comment or I'm going to read that comment. It's like, okay, this guy, you know, Mike Riley said he wanted a FOIA request on this. We just got word back, and here it is. That would be an interesting thing to start doing. That'd be a very interesting thing to start doing. Yeah. Huh. I might consider that. Thank you for asking that question. Because no, I haven't done it. I have not done it. I know it doesn't take that much legwork because I talk with people that have done it. But yeah, maybe it's something to consider. You know, but also you do it as well. Let me see here. What else do we have? Connection to the registry date around Joe Kent's exam. So that's pretty. I shouldn't even say that's not pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you know, the Charlie Kirk stuff was my main concern when it came to this whole thing. I really wanted to understand that part. It seems like they are shielding it. It's more towards the cover up. It's pretty crazy. Be careful. If I do the work, I might want your channel, bro. Well, I mean, you can put in the request. You might check it out. You can be in the segment. That's for sure. Especially if you find something crazy, you know. But yeah, why don't we have people hired to do that? I guess, you know, I can't say that to everybody. Some people don't want to hire people, right? But that is an interesting thing to do. Candace did that the other day with Erica Kirk and the whole amplification of her. They were putting in that request, you know? And it was the exact same thing that the person went through when they did the FOIA request at UVU, because what they told the person at UVU is they were like, they wanted to know about construction of the courtyard. And UVU came back and said, there's multiple courtyards, so we can't fulfill your request because you're not specifying which courtyard. So then that person had to specify the courtyard, and then they gave them the information. Same with Candace. Candace did the same thing. They said, well, I mean, you're contacting this office. We have nothing to do with it. We transfer it over here, you know, and they can just keep on doing that until she gets specific with the actual department that may have sent out this email. They'll just keep doing the runaround because they're allowed to do that. You didn't say specifically what you wanted. We don't know where to send you, and we're not just going to start accessing all sorts of things just for you. You have to be very specific. So that's the hardest part, I would say, of the legwork. That would be the hardest part, is that you have to know exactly what it is that you're requesting. That's why when Officer Tatum, he usually requests a lot of dash cam footage. He knows exactly what he's requesting. There was a guy who, you know, plays for the Miami Dolphins. He was pulled over in this place just outside the stadium. I want this dash cam footage of this officer. And then he gets it. That's the easiest thing. That's the easiest thing. But for what Candace wants to look into and what probably a lot of you want to look into, you know, and then there's rules with whether or not they'll actually allow you to do it. They might just say, no, we can't do that type of thing. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. They're supposed to be working for you, but they're not. Goyrilla Tatum. Holy. Yeah, I know Candace has her team. Of course she has her team. That's what I said. Goyrilla Tatum. That is crazy. That is crazy. And it's kind of a cool name. it's kind of a cool name as well. You know, I'm just saying that's a pretty cool name. You know, I'm just putting it out there really quick. Yeah, I know it's some people might think it's insulting, but it's actually pretty cool. So let's just move on here. The last story, I wanted to keep it a little light near the end. You know, we got Gary. We got the Gary, not so tactical. Somebody said paramount testicles. I mean, just so immature, just absolutely immature. How dare you guys? Gary here, friend of the show, has a Michelin star, Gary, when it comes to Fed slop. You know this, right? He's like the Gordon Ramsay of Fed slop. So you show some respect when I bring him up on the show, right? So anyway, Gary here finds out that Candace is going to Russia. And oh my gosh, Gary's just like, how dare you? How dare you go to Russia? So he says, Candace, a foreign agent? All capital letters. Look at him go. He's learning. Candace is heading to Russia next week, despite the U.S. Department's level 4 do not travel advisory due to terror, wrongful detention, and unrest. Why would she put herself and her family at such risk? Just dumb from the jump, Why is it so urgent she travel to Russia now? Oh. There's a very limited number of answers to these questions. None of them are good. There's zero chance this guy's going to be a CNN contributor in no time. Fox News contributor, something. It's going to be crazy when it happens. None of them are good. There is zero chance she's traveling there without the knowledge of the Kremlin. She's been using the Charlie Kirk investigation to subvert the Trump administration for 8 months now. Between Russia media, RT, promoting her, and this visit, it's abundantly clear that she's cooperating with Russia against her own country. Oh my gosh. Who listens to this? Who goes, who is at the dinner table and they're like, well, Gary from Paramount Tactical, he was talking about how Candace is a Russian agent. Well, she's going there and she knows what the Kremlin is, right? And then, why would she be there? I mean, it's clear she's a foreign agent, right? Whose uncle had a frontal lobotomy and is listening to Gary and bringing him up at the dinner table? Who's doing that? Come get your uncle, man. This is because isn't that defamation? He's treading on defamation. He called me a criminal. He should have proof of that. I think he's assuming it because I'm black, but I'm not black like that. I can tell you something. I don't come from that kind of black family. I kind of do. We have some people in Barbados have done some jail time, right? Some of them, but not it. We're not. We've rose up quite a bit, My mom taught me to talk like a well-to-do white guy, and it took years. I used to talk just like Officer Tatum. That's why I do the impression so well. You understand? That's why. Back to my roots, But yeah, he's treading on it. And it seems like he's not afraid of any lawsuits. It's almost like he has some kind of weird backing behind him, Almost like he does that quite a bit. Wow. I'm going to read this when I read the coffees, but someone said Paramount Tactical is Jen Psaki. Wow. Whoa. I read it at the perfect time. Thank you so much, Christy. Wow. That is you got it. You got it, girl. You hit it right on the head. Wow. That's a good one. He's Jen Psaki. That is who he is. It makes perfect sense. clearly in line with the government in some way, shape, or capacity. We have to say allegedly because, but clearly in line and, acting like they're outside of it, but still clearly in line. Oh my gosh. Perfect. This came about because Jigsaw Loomer said, why is Russian state media doing PR for Candace? And the PR was literally them just saying Candace Owens hit 6 million subscribers on YouTube. That's the PR. That's the PR. The PR is they reported on a thing that had to do with Candace. Well, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. Okay. All right. And then, of course, he got it from Baron. He got it from Baron first. Baron saw the post. And of course, Baron right away said, can we take a moment to marvel about how Candace Owens is the greatest PR strategist of our generation? Entire factions of political Twitter sphere constantly promote her brand and name recognition. The Russia trip is a prime A+ PR strategy primo. And Candace said down here, I should have worked in a Qatar stop on the way for funsies. There's always next year. I mean, and then people are just ripping up Gary. Did Paramount rip a post from Loomer? Yes, he did. New low unlocked. Master. More ways than one. Damn, I earned a block from Gary Smelltown. Wow, so immature. Must be doing something right. I tried to comment, but I'm blocked. It's just and then Britta, of course, jumped in. Britta loves Baron. This Britta lady has a crush on Baron. I'm convinced she does. She has a crush on him 100%. Erica must be too. Blah blah blah. So he got it from Baron. All right. Then he gets it from Ian. I mean, Ian, when Ian hits you, Ian's just gonna ratio you. That's his secret power on X. He just ratios people. It's nuts. Gary out here cooking up some epic conspiracy theories out of copium while whining about everybody else's evidence and inquiry. Okay, bud. And then he gets it from Candace herself. Good gosh. Candace looks at the post and says, this dude is so slow. It honestly hurts. There's zero chance she's traveling without knowledge of the Kremlin. Good job, Einstein. Good job, Einstein. Visas are in fact required to travel to Russia. Well, there you go. And honestly, if you're press, you could have trouble in Russia. But if you're like a regular person, you get in, it's like there might be a level 4 thing there. But a lot of times, I shouldn't say a lot of times, but some of the time when there is a do not travel type of thing put up, I won't say they do it for this express reason, but a lot of times people go over to those places. And I'm not saying Russia's like this fantastic place, but they will go over there and be like, oh, this place is not so bad. Like there's a lot of like, I haven't gone to China, but there's a lot of people I know that have gone and they're like, oh, this place is beautiful. Obviously you don't have to be a part of the actual society. You're not a citizen. So maybe you're not feeling everything the way, it's like you go to, you're in America and you're like, this is beautiful. The Utah. And I went to Miami and this and that. And they're like, yeah, but you don't have to like deal with the gas prices all the time. You have to deal with the food prices all the time. Right. You just enjoy the beauty. So a lot of times they don't want people from America to go and enjoy other places, right? They try to do the same thing in Canada as well. They don't want people in Canada to know that it's so much better in America. They don't want people in Canada to understand the First Amendment and Second Amendment, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence and how important that is. And then they compare it to their own because they have like a Charter of Rights. And it's like what America has in terms of rights for the citizens just blows that out of the water. And even that's hard, as we just saw with all the surveillance going on, but it's still a million times better than what Canada has. They don't want people to know. They don't want people to know that they're not trees and that they can move. They don't like people to know that. You can move. You can move around, you know? They don't like people to know that. So sometimes they'll put like this travel advisor and they're like, there's unrest. There's not really unrest in Russia right now. And that's for the simple fact that if there is any unrest, they just gun everybody down. I mean, that's a known thing, right? I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's correct. I'm just saying they handle things differently. That's all. They don't go. They skip mace. They skip mace. They don't know what rubber bullets are, and they just handle business. I'm kidding. I've never been there. I can't say that. But I know a lot of Russian people, and none of them go back. So I don't know. I don't know. The rich ones do, but if you're not rich, they don't go back. You know. So there's that. But Gary got it from all angles. You know, very sad to have that happen. All within like an hour. All within like the span of an hour. He posts something, gets it from Candace, gets it from Baron, gets it from Ian. I mean, it's just, it's a rough day. It's a rough day. They say it's hard out there for a giant when he's got just 3 rows of teeth and his IQ's just 31. He's just trying to go and get the job done. You know, it's hard out here for a giant. That was just a random song that came to mind, you know. Gary, feel free to use that as your intro. Feel free, 100%. Feel free, you know. Russia's really nice. Yeah, there's a lot of people want to go to Russia. It's like they try to, you know, have you not go to these places, but you know, you can go, you can check it out. Yeah, I know one UFC fighter that went over there and he never came back, and he learned Russian, and he's like a citizen now, and he just lives there, and that's just like his thing. That's it. Just he's in Russia. He's a Russian person now. You know, it happens. I know people have done that with Australia. I know people have done that with the UK. I know that people have done that from Canada to America, America to Canada. You know, you're not a tree. You can move around, you know. Let's keep going here. What else do we have here? I was going to look in Officer. I'll look into Officer Tatum a little bit. Whoa. I want to hear Officer Tatum talk about aliens. Okay. Let's see what this is about. This is a friend of the show. Hit that subscribe button.
Aliens are, based on what you know, amongst us now.
We've mapped less than 20% of the ocean floor. You know, we've mapped more of the moon, for goodness sakes, than we have the ocean floor. To me, that just seems more logical that there's something there. Roswell was a cover-up because military intelligence comes out saucer captured in New Mexico desert. Now, the next day they come out and say, oh no, we made a mistake. It was a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
Now, how do you go from a saucer to a hot air balloon? It just, to me, that's just beyond belief.
And is there something that if the public knew, it would cause the public to completely crumble?
I don't smoke weed, but if I did, that'd be the kind of thing I'd sit there and think about all the time. It freak me out, you know?
I want to tell you guys about Brian to tell the public what he...
Was that alcohol he was about to try and sell everybody? Does he sell this alcohol he has up there? Oh my gosh. This guy
can tell us about what's going on with these UFOs and other things that the government is withholding or that they may be releasing. And so without further ado, I want you guys to help me welcome a congressman from Tennessee, Congressman Tim Burchett. Sightings and all of these things, but now the government is acknowledging it. And I think that from this point on, some of our founding fathers, forefathers didn't have an opportunity to present this to the public the way we can today, but we're going to start learning about a lot of stuff here soon. I'm hopeful of, and I'm alive to be able to interview the man that can give us as much information as possible. So Congressman,
he brought up the forefathers when he's talking about aliens. Our forefathers didn't have the opportunity to present us with all this information, and there's so much information, man. I mean, there's just so much. And if our forefather could have came and brought that information, they would have, but they didn't have the computer screens that we have and all the buttons. They didn't even have the alphabet because the alphabet started with the keyboards, so they couldn't even do that. If George Washington could have told us about aliens, he would have. Isaac Newton and George Washington together could have told us about aliens, but they didn't have the technology. He's dumb. He's dumb. He's not dumb. That was my depiction of him. Oh goodness, come on. Here, let's move on a little bit. Let me see how this interview goes.
People are kind of getting stonewalled by some of the alphabet agencies. It's classic deep state. And some of the, I want to warn people, some of the stuff that's probably going to be on this group of videos that are just come out will be stuff you'll be easily identifiable. And I think they did that on purpose. I think they did that to kind of throw us off. And they said, oh, well, we're releasing it all. Well, the reality is they're not releasing it all. There's things that I've seen and people that I've talked to that don't have the clearance or the ability to come out and talk. And we've got to break through that. We've got to break through that. And I congratulate the president on his honesty to me, but as some of his top people have told me, they're getting a lot of resistance. And if I could go back a couple of years, I had an amendment on a big defense bill, and my amendment was 2 pages long, and it just said, release it, everything about it. And then they came in and
you know what? On a serious note, the fact that this guy's even doing this interview with Officer Tatum, it shows that this is fake. I don't know. It shows that, like, you think Officer Tatum was like, I would like to talk to you about the aliens. Mr. Tim Burchett, I would love to talk to you about the aliens and just know what color, how many fingers, toes, if they got eye holes like we got eye holes. I would just like to know about the aliens and what you see, what you heard. You think he actually did that? And he sent somebody out to go and contact this guy? Or do you think that they contacted him? And they were like, hey, buddy, we gave you that great prize where you got that chosen spit on your face. So now that we've done that for you, we need you to talk to this guy about aliens and bring this to your audience. What's more likely? What do you think a more likely scenario is? Like, come on. They came to him and they were like, you're going to interview this guy. You guys are going to talk about aliens. And he was like, aliens? They're going to be aliens? Are they coming? Are aliens coming? That's classified, Officer Tatum. That's classified. But we do need you to talk to this gentleman about aliens. And another thing with this guy. If there are aliens, and it's this world-changing thing, and it's absolutely just wild, change the whole world, why don't you just sacrifice? I mean, in the face of being a congressman, why don't you just sacrifice and tell all of us? Why don't you just tell us everything you've heard and everything you've seen? So, for what? So you can still vote in Congress and not get anything done? Just throw it all away. If it's going to change the whole world, if it's going to change everything in the world, every single nation, humans' understanding of how things work, why don't you just tell everybody? Oh, the things that I've seen and the things that I've done. I've heard things and people under certain classifications. I just don't know. There are things I've tell everybody. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? How quickly I would tell everybody if I knew about aliens. What? Oh, well, you're not going to be able to get dipped in baby oil and vote in Congress, and your vote never matters in Congress, but at least you get to come to the seances. No more seances for you. No more eyes wide shut parties for you. I'd be like, okay, whatever, man. I'm telling everybody. I don't care. What are we talking about here? I got to tell everybody. Obviously, this is going to change everything. This changes human history as we know it. Well, there's things that I've seen, and there's people who just, they want to come forward, but they can't. Get out of here, you know? And then they sit him down with Officer Tatum. It's like a humiliation ritual for him, you know? He has to sit down with Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum, look at him. Doesn't even know what's going on. Look at his face.
It created a format or a commission, I guess, that would be very similar to the Kennedy assassination. It was actually modeled after the Kennedy assassination. And that's what everybody jumped on board with. And his bill ended up dying a painful death in the Senate, and he ran the Senate. So, it's just a cover up upon cover ups, and the deep state does not want us to have this. And part of it's arrogance, I think, and part of it's could you imagine if they found an energy source, because these things are hovering for hours on end. We have reports, and then they can just shoot off into space, just almost, it's instantaneous, and the amount of power to do that is just beyond belief. And we don't.
Someone said he assumed it was a legal alien. Officer Tatum's like, are you telling me the Mexicans, those Mexicans that are at Home Depot, they know how to build things that can hover for hours and shoot off into space? Is that what you telling me? All of them? Those people from Venezuela and the Middle East, except for that one place. You telling me they know how to build spacecraft? And they've been visited interdimensionally for the past how many years, and it's classified? No wonder, Mr. Trump, no wonder the great, powerful President Trump want to get rid of these aliens. This a threat. This a threat, y'all. Mama, I got this Tim Burchett here. He telling me about how Mexicans know how to make spaceships. They've been flying around space, mama. Oh, baby, that don't even make a little bit of sense, baby. Well, he came here, he telling me about aliens. And we've been talking about it for hours. And he talking, and you know those Mexicans, they come over all the time. And I want them out of here. I see them come through Eagleton all the time, running through. And I don't like it. And now he telling me they know how to hover for hours. Let me just stop you right there, baby. He talking about space aliens. He talking about UFOs, baby. You really is some kind of dummy, man. You just really some kind of dummy, ain't you, mama? Or ain't you, baby? Oh, he talking about the green man from Mars. He talking about green man from Mars, mama? Ain't no green man from Mars, baby. This is Project Bluebeam. They've been working on this for decades, baby. They've been working on this a long time, very hard, to deceive the American people and people abroad. Mama, they would never do something like that. You know the president would have told us about that if that was a real thing. Oh, baby. The president ain't even in the know of all this. This has been going on since president after president after president after president. It's been going on a long time, baby. He lying to you, and he just want to tell your audience things that will scare them so they're prepared for the fake alien invasion. Oh, mama, what you talking about? You know, baby, you should be watching more Coach Colin. He could put you up on this type of thing. I ain't watching no coach. I'm an officer. Officer outrank coach. Everybody know that. And he's right. And he's right. Someone said my impression is black on black crime. And that's not cool. That's not cool. No, it's not. It's all love. It's pure love. This is my new favorite pastime. I love to do this. This is fantastic. Thank God for Officer Tatum. What are we talking about here? Are you kidding me? This is my friend. This is a friend of the show right here. What are you talking about? We got another video loaded up? Of course we do. Of course we do. Here's another one. Got Spencer Pratt on the screen. Let's see what Officer Tatum has to say about Spencer Pratt. What's he selling here? What's he selling? Shin Energy? Okay. All right.
And so I'm here to help you. But also Spencer Pratt is doing something historic and he's doing the right thing. And I want to support him and I want to show how he's exposing these clowns in LA. So let's go to the first clip. And this is
legs crossed. Is that what he did?
Support him, and I want to show how he's exposing these clowns in LA. So let's.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this guy, he's going Hollywood on all of us. Oh gosh. Legs crossed? With a little macchiato down there? Yeah, a little cup of macchiato down there. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. With the shirt open, with the buttons, with the gold chain. Oh my gosh, he's Dominican. I didn't know he's Dominican. I realized, I knew he's from Texas. I didn't realize he's Dominican. Dominican from Texas. That's not like, there's not a lot of Dominicans in Texas. This is crazy. Wow.
Let's go to the first clip. And this is Karen Bass, sorry, ass she elbows.
Yeah. He's hilarious. Come on. Sorry, ass she elbows. I love it. I love it. This guy is amazing. Shirt unbuttoned, legs crossed, ass she elbows. Come on. Officer Tatum. I just might turn this into Officer Tatum podcast. You know, we had Joe Rogan era. We had the Candace Owens era. We just might have to move on to Officer Tatum. We might have to move on, guys. We might have to move on.
Going and doing some illegal activity, and Spencer Pratt is going to call out. Watch the film.
Hello, everybody. All right. We're on the countdown. On the countdown. Just one more week. One more week. Let me just thank you so much for all of your support. I know you have been walking priests.
He buttoned it up. Oh my gosh, this guy.
Since you've been making phone calls, you've been over there at the headquarters because we're gonna bring this to home base and win, right? I even have the babies on my side. Babies for Bass. All right. You're never too young. Hi, Joy.
She sounds just as crazy as him. She sounds like a mental case. I got the babies on my side. She sounds like Bill Cosby. I got the babies on my side, and we're doing this against the Spencer Pratt. What is happening? What video did I stumble onto? What is this?
Thank you. Right. Babies for Bass. Here we go. One more vote to win. One more vote to win. All right. There you go.
All right. I don't know who got this past legal, but according to Spencer Pratt, you cannot do this. You cannot have political events, encouragement, or whatever the case at a polling place, or at least a mail-in box. You can't do any of that stuff.
Do you know how shilly it is that he's saying according to Spencer Pratt? I know Spencer Pratt's going to be better than Karen Bass. I know that. But for him to be like, you know, according to Spencer Pratt, let me tell y'all, Spencer Pratt told me Officer Tatum's been doing political stuff longer. You know things better than Spencer Pratt does in the political realm. What are you, crazy? That's how shilly that is. Because it's like, what are you doing? You can just say you know that. You know more things than Spencer Pratt does. You've been in the political sphere for like a decade, maybe even longer. What are we talking about? According to Spencer Pratt, it's a crazy sentence. It's wild. What are you doing? Like, what? Spencer Pratt's been running for what, 3 months? 4, 5, 6? This guy's been doing this for like 12 years. Well, you know, according to Spencer Pratt. Spencer Pratt educated me on the subject. You know, Spencer Pratt waving that blue and white flag around. You ever seen that video? Ridiculous. Anyway,
Spencer Pratt, take it away.
Candidate Spencer Pratt has filed an ethics complaint against Mayor Karen Bass. He is accusing her of breaking state election law by campaigning near a ballot box.
Fill out your ballot, hand it to your postal worker, or come
Actively to sign. That's like a candidate standing right outside a voting place, because that's against the law. You cannot put your signs there. You cannot advocate next to a polling place or a voting place. And if the candidate comes and stands in front of the door and go, hey, come vote for me, that is just as bad as having a sign in front of the place. I don't understand what she's saying here. The purpose and the spirit of the law is that you cannot distract or, encourage people to vote within a certain perimeter. That means that a person should have the freedom to make their own decision without coercion when they go to put their ballot into a mail-in box. They have the right to have that space. You cannot promote or do any of that within 200 feet or 100 feet. But she's right on top of the box with other people doing a commercial, putting the ballots in there. All right. Also, Spencer Pratt going after the other opponent that jumped in the race just to try to get him to lose. That's how silly these people are. This nasty woman endorsed Karen Bass. And then when they realized that if it's only Karen Bass and him, he would get so many more votes, he would probably win the election. But she tried to take votes so that there can be just the two of them, but to steal votes from Pratt.
I know what he meant, but just say it for me just one more time. Hold on. Just say it one more time. I know what you meant, but say it for me just one more time.
Karen Bass and him, he would get so many more votes, he would probably win the election. But she tried to take votes so that there can be just the two of them, but to steal votes from Pratt.
I'm telling you, this is why I was like, I'm going to make it. I can do this YouTube thing. I thank God for Officer Tatum. I was like, I can do this. I know I can. I'm like, if I can just make videos as many as he does and just keep doing it over and over again, I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. He made me believe in myself. You know, he should be the coach. He should be the coach. That nasty woman. Calling people nasty women, wenches. Oh man, he's great. He's great, man. He's great. He's a complete shill, but he's fantastic. You know, I love the stuff he has to say. I don't even know what this is about. I just saw. I don't even know what this is about. I just love the pose right away. My mega. Go ahead.
Bruh, they act like commodities or ownership is passive. Like in name only. I own this building. That's it. Like I don't work. I don't have to project. I don't renovate. I didn't put no money into it. I just on the paper I own this place. And then we go transfer the ownership to that person. That person ain't got no business experience, have never run a company, don't know a P&L, ain't got no investment money, in debt, bad credit, and they just go, you go transfer to that person. How does that work?
I love it. I love it. I gotta say, I love it because I love the South. I love being in the South. I love people like this. I think they're the best. I think they're the best people. They're the best. How'd that work? He makes his face like that. Oh my gosh. Anyway, he's not talking about Erica. No. He's not talking about Erica. Oh, let's see what he's talking about. Let's hear him out.
Like it's like the billionaires. These people, the billionaires, nobody to be a billionaire. You're not a billionaire.
I love it. Oh, he's so good. He's great. He's great. Friend of the show.
Billionaire, because one day you woke up and was like, oh, I slipped on a banana peel. I'm a billionaire today. Nobody has $1 billion sitting in a bank account. It's called net worth. Because in order for you to be a billionaire, you had to build something crazy that 1 billion people benefit from. 1 billion.
You have to build something crazy that 1 billion people benefit from. Now this is a big problem because I believe in him and I think he could be a billionaire one day, but he thinks he has to get 1 billion people to buy his product, and that's where he's going wrong. You know, you gotta set your eyes a little higher. You know, each person could do $2. And then you just $500 million. You know what I mean? Then you got 500 million. Now you're cooking with gas. But guess what happens if you get 4, $10 even? Then you don't have to have 1 billion people come for your product, man. I'm just saying, trying to help them out here. Then you got 100 million, right? $10. That's it. You got to build something crazy. You got to build something crazy that 1 billion people want. That's how he thinks. It's so good. I love it. And then the slip on the banana peel thing, like, where else are you going to hear that in YouTube? You're only going to hear that from me if I'm doing an impression of him. You don't hear that in YouTube anywhere else. There's nowhere else in the YouTube sphere where you're going to be like, they think you just slipping on a banana and you become a billionaire. Oh, I just slipped on a banana and I became a billionaire. What kind of hypothetical is that? I need 1 billion people to buy my product. That's what he thinks. He sees every single billionaire. And he's like, they built something crazy. Mama, that man, they're a billionaire. He got 1 billion people to buy his product. That man, they're a billionaire. His name's Tim Cook. Baby, iPhones don't cost $1, baby. Oh, mama, he a billionaire. Shh, hush up. Say something to him like that. So show some respect to that billionaire. Hush up, mama. Hey, I'm sorry, mama. I'll still go upside your head, baby. You don't tell me to hush up. iPhones cost thousands of dollars, baby. He didn't get 1 billion people to buy a $1 iPhone. You know better than that, baby. Oh, you right, mama. You know, because that's how he talks things out. That's how he gets a good grasp on the world. He talks to mama. Mama's the voice of reason, you know? Yeah. It's a good show. They're I got to go to the coffee. Officer Tatum, man. I love it. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I hope he sees this. We think you're great here. Friend of the show. Come on anytime you he ever comes onto the show, I'm only gonna talk like him. And he gonna be like, this so stupid because I don't even talk like that. So the whole thing with you talking like this, like who you imitating? And I'm gonna be like, I ain't imitating nobody. What you talking about? I ain't imitating nobody. It sound like you imitating me. I ain't imitating you. What you talking about? It's just going to be 45 minutes of that. You guys ready? Hope you're ready. Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's get into these coffees really quick. I always laugh watching your show, but today I'm crying doubled over. You're on a roll today. Love it. Thank you so much. Kendra, thank you so much. Yesterday on Paramount Tactical's comments, on live comments, Paramount Tactical said they knew Charlie. I've got the screenshots. Who's running Gary's show? Gary didn't know Charlie. Not sure how to send it to you. Show me that via Instagram. Send me that screenshot via Instagram. Yeah, Gary didn't know Charlie. That's not a thing. It'd be weird if he's trying to say that now. But everybody at Turning Point would just be like, oh, yeah, Charlie and Gary. Oh, they were inseparable. Charlie was around Gary more than he was around Candace. Everybody knows that. You know, Blake would just be like, yeah, that's just us being honest. Yeah. And Mikey McCoy would just be in the corner like, no, I've never seen, guys, a Kandahar giant. Charlie never wanted to be around Kandahar giants. Charlie had expressed policy not to be around Kandahar giants because he knew they were linked to Goliath. What's happening to Turning Point? Mikey McCoy, you know, losing his religion. My hubs, Jeremy, I said that right, has a major 3-phase surgery coming up. Oh my gosh. The first is scheduled for June 23rd. We are living in GA. We'll be traveling to NY for each of the 3 surgeries. That's crazy. Wow. It's all related to the rare genetic condition FAP. Really? It's called FAP? Okay. That he and our 3 boys have. Please send out extra prayers for Jeremy and our family. He won't be able to work for the majority of 12. I'm not clicking that. It's called FAP. I don't know if this is real. I don't know. I know FAP to be something else. It would be a very strange coincidence if this thing was called FAP. I know something else. You said your other 3 boys have it. I know a few boys that have had FAP syndrome. Okay. I think we all go through a little FAP syndrome here and there. I don't know about all this. I don't know about all this. I want to make a bunch of jokes, but I'm not sure if it's real. There's so many jokes to make about having this FAP genetic. This guy said my wife got that disease too. No. What'd you say, Jamie? You said that? Jamie, come on, man. I'm like, the other 3 boys have it. I'm like, I feel like I had that FAP gene when I was younger. Watch it be real, you know. Coach Colin laughed in the face of my husband's FAP syndrome. He's just sitting there all just like curled up. And I'll be like, well, what can I do? Paramount Tactical is Jen Psaki. Good Lord, I just can't with these people. Yeah, that's a great comparison. That's a great comparison. Thank you for my first laugh out loud in a stressful week. Oh, baby, you's a moron. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. I shouldn't say I don't appreciate that you were stressed, but oh yeah, you guys can't even see the screen, right? Okay. I do appreciate that you were. I don't like that you were stressed, but I love that I was able to do that for you. You know, because I know what it's like to be stressed and to be sad and to be depressed. You know, so I'm very happy that happened for you. See what I mean? Me and Officer Tatum, we're changing lives, man. Changing lives. What are you talking about here? Dr. Erica took the time to delete 126 IG posts on Juneteenth. Boy, she'll do anything to avoid spending time with her kids, won't she? That's funny. That's funny. Mama, what are you doing? I gotta delete Instagram posts. I gotta go. I'm gonna go to Fort Huachuca. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I have to go. Yeah. I remember she said, I forget where, I don't know where she said it, but she said something about the kids always being at the office. And like, I'm like, get out of here. Come on. And why are they at the office? All the time they're at the office? I don't know. I don't see you running a company with 2 kids. You got to hold one. I mean, what are you doing? You just making everybody babysit? My life is like a fart. Dana. I just need to tell you, I went back to watch the Cam Higsby reaction from Monday 3 times because your reaction and impression were both hilarious. I was laughing so hard. My kids were looking at me like I was insane. I never miss a show, even if I have to watch after my work day. It's the best part of my day. Thank you for the laughs. And if you ever come to Northeast Iowa for stand-up, my husband and I will be there. That would be amazing. Ohio. I said Iowa. Ohio. That would be amazing. That's one place I would want to go to. I really like it when I'm there. Me and my wife, we really like that place. Like, that was one of the places, like, we go to a lot of places. You know, we travel up and down. I want to actually travel the West Coast next. But we go to a lot of places. And that was the one place where we were like, let's go like house looking. Because like, that's how much we liked it. We were like, we could see ourselves here. Like, let's go look at houses. And we just like drove, not like with a real estate agent. We just, you know what poor people do. You drive around and we look at houses. And you go to the best neighborhoods and you look at the biggest houses and you look at them and you say, okay, I like this. I like the color of this one, I shouldn't say poor. I don't, you know what I mean? It's a pastime you do when you can't buy a multi-million-dollar mansion. It's a pastime. You go look at them instead. But we did that in Ohio. We really liked it. Really, really liked it. Love you, coach and fam. Love the show so much. Every time I hear your voice, I go into that coach mode. My ears perk up and I learn something inspiring, adding to the diaper fund and a Starbies. Oh, she must be in the chat. You know about the Starbies. Miss Coach, Crisis King indeed. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that. Marissa, I don't ever miss a live. I love your podcast. It is up there with Candace, Baron. Who's EC? Erica Kirk? I don't know who EC is. How do I not know who? I know someone's going to say the name and I'm going to be like, yeah, of course. Why don't I know the name? Who's EC? JOF? Jesse on Fire. Yes. Right? Someone tell me who EC is. Just all of you seeking the truth. You were an inspiration. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that. Probably meant IC. Oh, probably meant Ian, but no, the E and no, that's not. Those aren't close. Baron Coleman. No, Baron Coleman's BC. All right, everybody's just as lost as I am. See what you've done to the chat. You've wrecked us. You've wrecked us all. But thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Okay, coach. I have tried to summarize the poem. This is from yesterday. All right. A kind, tender-hearted woman finds a freezing, half-dead snake on her morning walk. Taking pity on it, she brings it home despite its inherently dangerous nature. She nurtures the snake back to health, warming it by the fire and feeding it milk and honey. Once revived, the woman holds the snake affectionately. Instead of showing gratitude, the snake bites her with a fatal poisonous strike. As the woman lies there, about to pass, she asks why the snake did it, and the snake mockingly replies that she shouldn't be surprised. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in. Oh. And that's like connection to like the president. Eric Costello. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I guess that's connected to the president. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Hola, coach. Just passing through, dropping my coffee. All right, so that is it for the coffees. I believe there's probably, if something comes in, I'll make sure to see something came in 5 minutes ago and it didn't tell me. Should have to tell me. I'll be back for it. Don't worry. I'll be back for it. It'll pop up. Let's get into these super chats. Jamie, you almost got me. Super sticker. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Right. So the question is, why was their op so poorly executed, so well connected, and yet we get second-rate actors like George Zinn the wrong firearm, etc. I think they didn't think that people would hone in so much. I think they had a good idea that everybody was going to be very much I think they thought that everybody was going to go along with it. I think that's what they thought. I think they thought everybody was just going to lock in the way that they always do. They thought somebody would pass, and the connection to that person and the grief through it would just send shockwaves through the conservative movement, and it would send it in a way that they would just follow the president, and they would be so locked in for the next election and midterms that they would just do the bidding of the GOP. I think they really thought that, and they'd be okay with wars, and they'd be okay with everything. I don't think they thought people would, they didn't think, Baron Coleman didn't fully, he existed. He was a person, but the way we know him today, he wasn't around. They didn't think Candace would turn. Candace would just be sad about her friend. I don't think they thought this would happen, where so many people would just sprout up and be like, I'm tracking this now. I don't think they thought that. I don't think they thought they needed super good actors and all that stuff, I had a super chat for you and for your imitation of Patrick Bet-David. That was so on point. I too hate Adam. Worst person on any podcast. Yeah, it seems like everybody kind of feels that way about Adam. Like, he doesn't really add any good points. Candace Owens always keeps more information close to her vest, which oddly makes me watch her less. When anything big comes out, it goes viral. Podcasters like you, Baron, Ian, etc., offer more insights to the conversation. Well, I mean, she keeps it, but she also comes out with it. I appreciate you, though, for saying that. I try to bring things to the conversation. Today, it was very hard. It was like 9:30, and I'm like, okay, I'm still like doing timestamps. I was like, this is not funny. This is. I was like, nah, I don't know if any of this is funny. I don't know. This doesn't feel funny. Some of this feels scary. But yeah, she does keep it close, but it's only so it can come out later. And who knows how. And to what you're saying, who knows how much she has like that, and who knows what she's gonna like bring out. I'm hoping. I don't want to be like, oh, she's playing 5D chess, but I'm hoping she comes out. Imagine somebody suggested this in the another super chat where they were like, what if Charlie had a kill switch and he gave her all the information and she just has it all? I would, that'd be such a dream, but who knows, right? If Joe interviewed Tucker now in this paradigm, much respect. In this paradigm, if Joe interviewed Tucker now in this paradigm, much respect. Otherwise, it's like the kittens smacking the ball around. What do you mean? If Joe interviewed Tucker now, I don't know if Joe could have that conversation right now. He would Tucker would be very, very opinionative on a place. He definitely couldn't pull the same stuff he pulled on Theo. He couldn't be like, you're out of your mind. Tucker would be like, excuse me? I've been working in the mainstream media for most of my life. And I am at the top of the independent media. I am a research journalist. We have a great team. I don't know what you mean. Joe wouldn't be able, he couldn't joke his way out of that, So couldn't just call him crazy and that'd be it, Tucker wouldn't go for all that. J-Bone. He'd be like, am I crazy? Well, not really, actually. Because is it crazy to really think about this place in the Middle East? Running my government? I'm an American. I'll live here and I'll die here. My children are going to live here and grandchildren. I don't think it's crazy at all to ask these questions. And Joe would be like, well, I mean, you want to smoke a blunt? You want to smoke a blunt? You want to smoke a blunt? Jamie, roll a blunt for Tucker. Tucker, you want to smoke a blunt? No, actually. I have 19 Zins in my mouth. Alpos. I have 19 nicotine sacks in my mouth right now, and I cannot smoke a blunt, actually. J-Bone, watching from Australia, this Erica, Philly, and Trump drama got bigger psyop waves than the ocean covering the MH370 between Oz and Mega. Also, can someone let Officer Tatum and the giant the circus is in town, then they need clowns. Oh, well, they're already part of the circus. That's it. They're already part of it. Don't worry about it. It's funny you bring up the MH370. That's an interesting thing. I've never talked about that much. I was supposed to have somebody on to talk about it, but we never got around to doing that podcast. And then they became such a Zio shill on X that I was just like, there's no way I'm sitting down with this guy. No way I'm sitting down with this guy. This is for your Hunter Biden artwork fund. I'll have Hunter Biden paint that picture I was talking about. That would be great. That would be great. Yeah, it'll only cost me $300,000. When it comes to the trauma and the PSYOP operations, we are subjected to Tucker, Candace, Ian, Baron, Coach, Lionel, Christine are the doctor, the medicine, and the nurse. We are all hurt. We all hurt when we bleed. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. A little dark, but I do appreciate that. I'm not the nurse. I won't be the nurse. And Candace is like the biggest one, so she can't be the nurse either. So that's gonna have to be, I guess maybe Christine. That's gonna have to be Baron or Christine. I'm not doing the nurse thing. I refuse. I'm not doing it. Felt like this connected all the dots. Wild. Lanny, thank you so much, Lanny. Thank you for your work. You did a great job. Hope Bean, just a quick hello to say thank you. Keep up the great work. Blessings. Christ is King indeed. Thank you so much. Welcome to Westworld. Yeah, some people are asking what Westworld is. You got to watch Westworld. If you haven't seen Westworld, it's a very interesting show. They're basically making these robots. These robots look just like people. Actually, I don't want to spoil it for you. It's just like it's an AI robot show, and there's like a world / amusement park where you just go in and you interact with these like human robots, and it's crazy. It's just nuts. It's a really crazy show. Really good show. I should go back and watch that. The Florida Rican. I hope the space under the ballroom is called the Gooch Room. It's gonna be called the Undercarriage. Welcome to the Undercarriage Hospital. Who do we have here today? Is this a vampire? Vampire. What blood type do you like to drink the most? Let's get him some CC. Let's stat. We need 90 cc's of blood. Stat. Get it from where you get all of it. Shh. Don't say it on camera. Shh. Just go get it. Been doing surgery on lizard people all day. They got such hard skin. It's been working my wrist overtime. Yeah. It's a crazy hospital. Gary's such a crumb snatcher. Gary's such a crumb snatcher. Bad time to be a Gary. That's so funny. I've never heard that insult, a crumb snatcher. Coach, I've been surfing Barbados since I was 13. The people are so kind, but the older women are so strict and proper. Lady that watched me was always punishing me for bad manners. Yeah. My half my family's from Barbados, and I think it was my grandmother or maybe my mom's grandmother. I think it was my grandmother. But there used to be a school talking about like older women being strict. There used to be a school close to her house, and this is like way back in the day, and it's on an island, right? It's like a different culture. And if she saw the kids behave badly, she would cut a switch from a tree and she would go and discipline the kids. And the kids would, of course, be in pain. And then when the principal came, if the principal saw that she did it, then they would just get detention because he knew that she would only do that for a good reason. So he would just kind of allow it. He would just be like, well, she did it. There you go. He'd be like, you shouldn't have been doing whatever you were doing. It's a crazy place. Kept the kids in line though. She was just close enough. Like she like that doesn't work for the school at all. Just a house close enough, and she's just like, I see what you're doing there, and and that'd be it. It's great. It's nuts. It's nuts. So yeah, have fun out there, but don't do it in front of older black ladies around there. They'll be mad at you. Never quit making me throw money because you keep making me spit out my coffee. Just kidding. But your comedy has truly been shining lately. Thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate that. That is the thing I'm working on the most. I want to take it on the road. I want to start doing it. It's really, really, really something that I love doing. Love doing it. Bro, Candace had a dream about bees, and then Erica's photo in a bee outfit from her school as a child comes out. Are we even gonna go there? Crazy. Really? Oh, I don't remember that picture of Erica. And Candace had a dream about bees? I don't remember either of those things. Did either of those things actually happen? I have no idea. I know she had a dream. I don't know if it was about bees. That was me on the assist with the Colvette Origin. Oh, okay, there you go. I don't know how to say that. Saboyans, Shabans, you're Clyde Drexler. Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah. You're the one that told me that. That was via Instagram. I remember now. Yeah, thank you for that. But it's true. As a French mama living in CA, I'm amazed at those different American accents. Brian Harpole, John Bray, that senator spoke with Officer Tatum, just trying to bring people knowledge about the aliens. Very exotic. That's funny. That's how I feel when I'm in Arkansas. Yeah, I've told the story so many times. I was in Arkansas, and I go to the gas station, and this is it's not like a wild place in Arkansas, but it was established by like a grandmaster, the first grand wizard ever established this town. So we're in there, and I go to the gas station, and there's a lady, and she's sitting there, and she's just knitting. And I stood there. I'm very polite. I stood there, especially with ladies. I stood there for like 3 minutes. I was like, she's gonna be done with this. Like, I'm not gonna stand here for 10 minutes. She's not gonna do that. I stood there. And then as soon as she was done, she was like, oh, baby. She sounded just like Officer Tatum's mama. She's like, baby, why didn't you tell me you was standing there, you looking for gas? Why didn't you say something? I was like, wow, that is different. She said baby and sweetie like 3 times in one sentence. It was wild. Yeah, they're a different type of people. The South's the best. There's no comparison. You're gonna go somewhere in America to experience something incredible, you go to the South. Travel all over the South. You'll meet the best people, hands down. If you read the bees super chat, say evidence. Sorry, I saw that late. Officer Tatum is Devon Dooley. Oh, my brother, testify. What time? Oh yeah, we gotta make a move here. Marcus Satin became a member. Thank you so much. And then what does that word say? Isn't real. He's right. What does that say? I don't know what that word is. Beoya. I can't even sound that out. I'm not like Officer Tatum. I don't have this complex vocabulary, Sorry, coach. Health emergency. Didn't have the phone. It's okay. Health first every single day. Screenshot sent to your Instagram of Gary knowing CK. Yeah, that's weird. Someone clearly runs a show and is just like saying stuff, you know. It's probably in the message requests. I gotta always check my message requests. Stop. I knew Charlie. You need to stop demanding evidence when there is a trial. You get the evidence when the rest of the world gets it. Huh. Interesting. Okay. That's very interesting. He didn't know Charlie. That's weird. He didn't know Charlie. Thank you for sending me that. Will you get Mr. Quigley on for an interview? I don't know. Mr. Quigley's he's a wild boy. Yeah, I've been watching his videos. I'm like, oh, geez, this guy's talk about going max. You go check out Mr. Quigley's page. Check out all the videos. Every video has a thumbnail of BB looking satanic. It's crazy, looking like a demon. It's crazy. But I'd be interested in talking to him. He is a very smart guy. I would like to talk to him. I would like to talk to him because he seems like he has a lot of dimension to him. He's not just going to talk about that one subject that he's like become successful for on YouTube. And I really want to sit down with Ian. I really want to have a 4-hour conversation with Ian. I really want to do that. But it's really hard to just get people to sit down with you for 4 hours. It's really hard. But I would love to do that with Ian. That's like, Candace had Hunter Biden as her top thing. My top person to talk to in an interview is Ian, for sure. 100%. Tatum and Lindsey Graham battling to see billionaires' money. Yeah, they're having a sword fight over it. Allie Beth is Joy Reid or The View in general. Oh yeah, she would definitely be one of the View people for sure. Anyway, let me keep going here. What else we got? Are we down? Okay. Bee's dream preceded the Bee's photo live stream. Really? I gotta look into that. Billionaire equals Bayanya in Tete speak. Billionaire? Yeah, billionaire. Wow, that is the word. That's crazy. You're able to write that. How do you speak Tatum so well? Who taught you that? Who taught you Tatum Ebonics so well? That's amazing. Okay, I didn't realize that. I'm also Marcus Sutton, double membered. Wow. Well, thank you for that. That's crazy. That's nuts. Let me just jump over to the coffees. One more again. See if those coffees popped up. They should have popped up. I think one of them did. I'm gonna make sure. Because I don't want to. Oh, of course, someone wrote a dissertation. Oh, okay. Thanks so much. Oh my gosh. My grandmother. Is my mom? Are you watching, Mom? My mom's watching. I was telling you guys about the story. People getting beat with switches. My mom says it was her grandmother, my father's mother. So it was my great grandmother that used to do that. So that's way back in the day. Anybody could slap around anybody's kids way back in the day like that. What's going on, Mom? I just saw that message. I was like, wait a second, because she's like the only person that could get through right now. Love your show, Coach. You, Candace, and Baron are my top 3. I don't even watch regular TV anymore. I limit my time on X because I lose my mind, and jail is not for me. Thank you for all you do. Congrats on the new baby. I've used you as a reference many times. For what? To drill into my daughter's head what a real man and father is and does. Thank you for that. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's amazing. I'm not going to dwell on that because I'll start crying, but thank you so much. Everyone's asking how they fumbled this up so much. And I have to disagree with you. It's not because they thought nobody would investigate it. It's because we're dealing with EK, AK, and Blakey. They're idiots. I think there's people behind them that just thought they'd pull it off. You know, I mean, this stuff has been pulled off before. We just don't even realize it. They are so grandiose that they thought they could get away with it. That's why they're losing their effing minds. They're dumb. I think it's as simple as greed. It just so happens that their greed connects them to the government entities that also benefited from it. So, oh man, I lost it. The government entities. So they were on board with Victor Marx, almost told on himself in the episode with Candace. He said, I text Erica, and then he stopped. He paused. I think he did that because he was about to say, I texted Erica, it's done. That'd be wild. Could you imagine? I have to go back and watch that. I don't remember that. So he had to backtrack and make up that BS. The idiots running Turning Point now didn't want to lose their $1 million homes and all the money that Charlie gave them access to. Sorry for the novel. I just had to get that out. Christ is King. Christ is King indeed. Thank you so much. The school in her house, from my mom, the school in her house were feet apart. The house is still there and the school is still there. The school is closed, just standing there off limits. One of my cousins live in that house now. Her name is Marisa. There you go. Well, there you have it. Little history, little family history from Barbados, Connelltown, Barbados. What a great merch idea. I only need to sell these to 1 billion people to make $1 billion. Fine print. These t-shirts aren't $1. Tell Officer Tatum that. He'd be like, that is tremendous. Because then the t-shirts ain't $1. And if the t-shirts ain't $1, that means I don't have to, mama, cancel that 1 billion people email list, mama. We only need 100 million people, mama. Hi, Coach. Yesterday you read my coffee about your health journey. You said you asked God to walk with you in this journey, to carry me. I wanted to share with you that I had a similar experience. Last year, I asked God to help me love myself the way he loves me. It was an amazing prayer of surrender. I've lost 60 pounds so far and feel so great. Keep on going. That's amazing. That's amazing to hear. Good for you. Really good for you. FAP stands for familiar androgynous polypsy disease. I don't even know if I can believe anything now. I don't know what to believe. Jamie said this. This person says that. You guys are trying to trick me. Yeah, you're trying to trick me. I didn't even have any of this on the screen. Oh, well, yeah. What can you do? Mama, you didn't wake me up to watch the coach, and now I'm late, mama. I can't help it. Love you, Coach. Thanks for spending time with us. Your show is our morning routine, and it's such a blessing. Starting the day with laughter sets a positive tone. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Let me just see if anything else popped up on either front, because we have to get going. Got to take the wife places, you know. What day is it? What day is it? It's Thursday, right? Okay. My mom's is writing the whole thing now. Grandmother was a white woman. That's the one that had 6 sons. 3 were dark and 3 were white. 2 different fathers. Wow, that's always the case, right? Especially on the islands. That's where I get my voice from that white lady. From my great grandmother. That's where I get the white voice from. Because I'm half black. Oh, so you have both. You have both, one for the black side, one for the white side. On one account, you can say the hard R. On the other account, you keep it nice and civil. Okay, I understand. Thank you so much, AI Awakening. Thank you very much. Anyways, guys, I gotta get going. Are we at 1 o'clock? Oh, we're past 1 o'clock already. Oh, 3 hours, 3 minutes. Oh my gosh, 3 hours, 3 minutes. I gotta get going, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Truly appreciate you guys. Thank you so much to Officer Tatum. Special shout out to Officer Tatum, friend of the show. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for showing us that interview with that congressman. It was very informative. We're glad that these Mexican people have these abilities, but has to all be kept in check, right? That's why we need a tight border. That's why borders have to be tight, Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for being here. I really, really do appreciate it. Candace is going live. It's probably pre-recorded, but going with Anna Kasperia. That'll be very interesting to see. It's Thursday today, so I don't know if Baron's going to go live. I have no idea. I think he is. I think he's going to go live. Maybe not. I'm not 100% sure, but if he does, make sure to catch it. And Candace's interview should be interesting. They are both going to go max in this interview. And it is just another piece of what I've been saying about Candace Owens becoming president in this whole coalition. I think that's going to happen very, very, very soon. Maybe not president, but definitely within politics. But anyways, thank you guys so much. Love you guys. I will see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. sharp.